How you guys doing? First of all, how you feeling? How was the travel? You had to go to America, then to Europe, then back to America, all in the span of a week and a half. So how are you just feeling?
It was good. This one was, we had a direct flight, so we were lucky. It was way better as the flight to Vegas. It was like 24 hours kinda, and this one was like 12, so the flight was way better.
Yeah, I don't think jet lag exists anymore at this point. It's just like one big mess time. So, I mean, the flight was good, so that's all I care for.
So even in Vegas, clearly things didn't go the way that you wanted them to, but now you're here in the PPL finals where you still have that #1 seed spot to prove. So does that give you a little bit more of that motivation as, yeah, we're still the best?
I mean, it gives more motivation, but also there's less pressure. There's no longer the winless streak, but there's also more pressure to perform because we have lost finals quite a few times now. So with third time, it's a charm. Third time.
Yeah, it's like we just have to perform. It's another tournament. Like everything starts from zero again. We just have to perform from the start, and we start with 0. See where we end up now. Hopefully not second, by the way.
I mean, I've often considered this kind of a make or break tournament for your guys' team, to be honest, because I see it as you've won 2 leagues in a row. You went 7-1. You lost the finals. You went 8-0. You just lost Vegas. So you need some hardware. You guys, I feel, know you need some hardware. And now that you don't have the pressure of kind of having the undefeated strike on your back, what's your approach like heading into this tournament and especially this game versus Navi?
We approach the game like we always do. Like we start drafting, make a plan for the game, and that's what we always did. So we didn't change anything in that regard. It's just like we play with less pressure because we know what we can do and we know what the others can do. And if we just play our game like we always do, it's usually good enough, apart from the finals where we lose. So that's the plan to first get there and then not lose the finals.
To not lose.
I mean, in the end, every loss, every win is our baggage for the next tournament. So we still learn from the losses, and we have the data to back it up again. And we're just going to look at the data, the drafts, the champs that are being picked in the maps, and we just have a game plan from there on out. And after that, all we have to do is just win. Nothing else matters.
So in a past interview with you, Jerry, you're saying how you all feel a bit more comfortable in the LAN environment because everyone is there, but we're just talking about the record and how it shows a bit differently. Do you think that it's something that happens with the team in that environment? You're saying that you're consistent with the play, or is it other teams that just kind of throw everything off kilter?
I think in the last final, like Envy just played lights out in the final, especially Rock Monkey went like super nuts, and I think that's like, what's hopefully not happen that often anymore, but he played slide out, and I think we mostly a stable team. Even in the final, I think we played worse as we did the rest of the tournament.
Just to finish this up, there's a lot going into this tournament, I think, for this entire week for you guys on the line. But in the same way, you guys have been around forever, and you know that it is just another tournament. I want to know, what do you think, besides the stat sheets, besides all the prep you guys do, what's going to be the difference this time? What's going to allow you guys to win? Who needs to step up? What needs to happen to actually get a championship?
I mean, we have some young boys in the team who has not the most LAN experience yet, and by now they're getting more experience by every single LAN, so that's good for them. Well, 3 of us have been to like almost every single LAN, if not all LANs in Paladins, so we like kind of used to it. Well,
so you think it's the young bucks that need to step up?
The young boys always need to perform well. We have to perform as well. It's always a team thing what you have to do. We always have to play great. It's like if one player slacks, you will lose the final.
I think no one needs to step up necessarily if everyone plays their own game. I think it's like if all 5 of us play a normal game, then we're going to win. If one guy is slacking, then another guy needs to step up to compensate that. And I think that as long as we all just play a normal game, no one has to necessarily pop off or do anything crazy, because we do have that team synergy. We do have that consistency in the team that all we just need is people to play normally, and then we should be fine.
Awesome. Well, we're really excited to see how you guys play. Good luck. Hopefully get some rest before your games and afterwards, and we'll see you guys in the realm.
Thank you.
Right, later.
Some strong words there from Jera and Thiel. But welcome back, everybody, to the desk. This is the PPL Finals. I'm LaTigress here with Rain Day on the opposite end.
This is weird.
Do you feel completely just thrown off?
I feel naked. I do.
You know?
I feel naked. I feel bare. Hopefully, I'm not a completely different person over here, but I do feel that the wild side is coming out.
Well, we'll work to get you feeling comfortable.
Okay.
And one thing to do that is to talk about Fnatic. We just actually heard them speaking about their performance, but you said it yourself. This is a very important LAN for them.
I think this is do or die. Personally, I think Fnatic have been doing so well in the wrong areas that they have to culminate it with a win. They need a championship this week, whether it's at the Masters heading into Sunday or whether it's today. They've got to get through this hump of doing great in the season and not getting trophies.
Well, and that's the thing. You watch them during the regular season, and they look unstoppable. Not only are they taking sets, but they're taking them fairly quickly.
Right.
And then you get to the LAN scenario, still sounding very confident in their interviews, mind you, but it just hasn't seemed to lock together for them.
Yeah, you know what? You can't tell confidence in interviews. Guys can do a good job. These guys are pros. They've been through all those interviews for 2 years now. I think at the end of the day, I want to see the confidence in the game. I saw some hesitation, and really, if you read between the lines, a lot of what they were actually saying in a very nice way was that they need Fasheko and they need his Bittner to have the same type of performances we saw I Drop Bodies and Evil I have for G2 Esports.
And everyone that was there in Las Vegas or saw on the broadcast, Fasheko was clearly emotionally upset after that performance.
As you should be. I mean, you come in as basically the best player in the world alongside maybe his Bittner. He's talking about an Eevee that's going to be unstoppable. That's even better on LAN. And yeah, there's some LAN issues, so that's not all his fault, but it still goes that his performance was not of the caliber of a rock monkey in that moment, of somebody who stole the show from him, especially in North America. And Europeans, I love Europeans, but they definitely believe themselves to be, I think, a little bit of a more refined Paladins players. Mm-hmm. So getting shown up in that way, I don't think, settled with them well.
And we saw during the last set how clearly NA is willing to adapt their strategy, and Fnatic is going to need to do that, as well as Navi, who coming off of Las Vegas where they didn't win a single game against a PPL team, holding that championship title still, but maybe not feeling is living up to it.
Now, Phoenix came in, and in that interview, man, he was, I don't even know. I think we're going to play it, but they are not happy with their performance.
No, you can't be.
Winless. And for a team like this coming off a world championship, you have to expect better. Nobody in this camp is actually very happy with their performance, and I kind of like that. These guys are a little nice, or they need to get rough around the edges and dig deep.
And that's the thing. You always have an appreciation for those that are nice and bring that positivity, but if you're in this situation, you better be aware of what that situation is and making those strides for improvement. I
mean, I tell you, sometimes you got to get in the dirt. I know EU had a big problem with the way CusCutie was handling it, but you can't deny that this guy's in the trenches with his squad. I'm doing whatever it takes to win. I am here in this moment. And when you're so high level like Navi and Fnatic with your skill and with your element, sometimes you just have to say, screw it, man. I'm gonna play. I'm gonna get this win. That's all I care about.
Well, as you heard Rainday say, we did have an interview with these players from Navi earlier, so let's take a look.
After Vegas, things didn't look so great last day. You only got 1 day to prove yourselves here for PPL Finals. What's the mindset like today?
Just play better than in Vegas. That's all we can do. The expectations are way lower now because we lost, obviously, so less pressure on us and more reason to perform for us.
I kind of want to talk about what you guys were playing at Vegas. It felt like everyone was playing double tank but you guys. You guys were playing a lot of the 3 DPS. Was that as a result of Phoenix, you having practiced that with so many weeks leading up to that event? And what was kind of the reason for the change there?
Yeah, it had to do with like us practicing it because I was expected to play it because we thought it was the meta, and we obviously misread it because double tank still works fine, which is something we can move back to because I'm still flexible. I can still play the tank, and I'm not afraid to go back to tank either.
Other thing, back to World Championship, Spunky, you looked nervous the entire time, but still ended up being really well on the support role. In Vegas, things were not as comfortable. How, as a support, does the mindset change when you're getting focused every single time you poke your head out around a corner?
I've actually gotten used to it playing Fnatic, but it was tough. But I don't know really what to say.
You just get used to it over time. So you guys, you do have more than one matchup. Even if you lose today, you are going to be playing in the Masters event. Are you guys sleeping on any of these teams, or is there anyone you're looking out for in particular in the international scene, whether it be Kanga, whether it be Burrito or Space Station?
I don't think we're going to sleep on anyone anymore because obviously Burrito proved himself at Acer X. Even Space Station did well against Fnatic. I don't think you can sleep on anyone anymore at this point. Everyone has put in the practice. Paladins is just growing and the competition is getting stronger. So I feel like sleeping on anyone would be a mistake.
Now, you and Fnatic have gone back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. How do you guys prepare for something just almost a week later against the same team again? Do you change things up, or you just try to play your best comp and just play it better than you did previously?
At this point, like, you play Fnatic so much, specifically us, because we scrim them a lot, of course, that at some point it's become like you pick this and they know what you're gonna pick, and then you have to like predict what they pick. So you like it's just a 4D chess you're playing with each other, and then at some point like it looks weird to the community like what we draft, but it's something that counts as what they gonna pick, and then it's like a complete like different mindset because we know each other so well.
Spunky, as kind of one of the most veteran guys on this team, how are you doing to keep your guys mentally in it? Do you guys bounce back easily from losses, would you say?
Yes, I would say. It's like sometimes the losses actually give us like more like will to play on the next games and so on. And we try more, of course, if we're losing.
Last thing, something a little bit more fun. You guys obviously have been hanging out with Fnatic a lot at the LAN situation. Of course, the North Americans talk a lot back and forth between each other. Do you guys feel a friendly rivalry, or is this something that's a little bit more intense and kind of down to the nitty-gritty?
I would say friendly, more against Fnatic at least.
At least. All right, thanks, guys. Good luck against Fnatic today. Of course, we'll see you on the battlefield.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Smiles there in the end, but game faces, I think, for those two.
At least against Fnatic. Kind of. Maybe
and then
not
the
you
biggest
two.
smile that we've ever actually seen.
I hate
from
him.
him.
I feel like Spunky's about to explode. Does anyone feel that Spunky's holding it all in? Let it go, baby. Let it go.
We're here for you to
We're
pick
here
up
for
any
you.
pieces if
Yeah.
you need that. So, but I'm
Oh, man.
actually stoked to see how this goes down because I think going
too.
into Las Vegas, a lot of people are expecting maybe Navi's going to do what they did last season, kind of
Yeah.
take it under the radar for a bit and then pop off at LAN. And even though it didn't go well for them in the Invitational, that could happen here starting with Frog Isle.
Let's realize this is a long week, so there's a lot of information gathering. They're going to have to play each other and more teams heading into the Paladins Masters and Thursday through the rest of this week. So this is important. There is a lot of money on the line, but you also have to be wary that you don't give everything away. You don't act like this is it. This is just the beginning of still a very decently long process.
And how do you think that Navi are going to respond with the note they made about playing with single tank when everyone else seemed to go back and they didn't realize that double tank would work?
Yeah.
Do you think they'll make an adjustment that way?
Oh, I absolutely do. I think they realize that single tank is actually okay, it works, but it doesn't have to be the meta because Fnatic had kind of driven this idea that we are the best team, this is the meta, and if you have to beat us, you have to play what we're playing. But Envy showed that we play by our own rules, we understand the meta more, that will be more effective, and I think that's what Navi have let go of. I love losing sometimes because it just makes you say, hey, everything I knew was kind of wrong. So now let me just figure out what I can do that's different. I have to look at a different avenue, and I think that's going to lead to some more success.
And having to see exactly how they make those adjustments over time. And the way that things have been taking place as far as within the game, Tolkien had noted in his interview how you can really get in depth with developing that meta when you have consistency in your patches.
You know, you start to, like Phil said, really master something. He doesn't want to flex on the DPS. He wants to be the best tank player he can and carry as a tank. And I think Navi, a little bit of a loss of identity at Vegas. But again, a lot going on, a lot of factors that they weren't really ready for. Vegas is a crazy city. And so we can't act that there aren't real-world factors as well. Distractions aplenty. And I think if you come here and you look at, this is my esports studio. I've competed here 2-3 times in my lifetime already. I'm feeling comfortable, although we got some new chairs and some new hardware. These guys will be much more equipped to compete. I expect a competitive set.
Especially the fact that Fnatic has something to prove, with Navi having something to prove, and the fact that Navi having this consistent roster over time, I don't know, if they don't do well, it might spur some kind of discussion.
That's what, for me, is a big conversation here. And, you know, heading into this phase of getting Game 1 started, my conversation is I think it's do or die for both these teams. It should be competitive. That's the only way they come out of this smiling, if it goes best of 7 and then somebody gets a lucky change towards a point. So one team gets stomped, I'm worried.
But the thing is, they're both very capable teams.
They are.
It's not like in some of the parts of PPL where, oh, it's bottle for the bottom or something. This has been the top 2 in EU.
And I think that's going to be further cemented here. We expect to see some types of heavy champion adjustments as far as the draft. And I would look to see Navi here focus on tanks. So far, 2 tanks banned. So you got to be careful now. If you ban out too many of the tanks, then the tanks shift away from the focus, and you start actually leaning towards Fnatic's single tank working a lot better. Navi showing that they don't idealize that style, and there it is, the first damage ban. It's the Strix.
And you saw the fact that Navi, they are willing to adapt and try new strategies. Phoenix putting in that work to be able to flex.
Yeah.
But Fnatic, they're totally cool either way because of their familiarity with single tank. Inara being the first locked in. And we know there's not going to be any sniper play.
Yeah, I expected Terminus from Navi. I don't know if I expect it now, but again, they're letting Cassie through. This is something that really plagued Europe a lot against North America. I hope that these drafts do adjust, because what G2 did to beat Envy, they denied Cassie to Rock Monkey every single game. Navi get Cassie and Maeve, which is, again, another important pick that's going to help to basically offset Fnatic's secondary tank if they do want to run that.
And you were saying yourself earlier that you think Maeve is going to be a key to this entire land?
Oh, yeah. I mean, because when you draft into your secondary tanks, there's Khan, there's Fernando. Sometimes you have a Barrack, but he's really not needing to get picked now that people have realized Khan has some value. And there's Ruckus, there's Torvald, all these champions. Street Justice deletes them, and they go through the shields. That's the big key. Maeve can 1v1 tanks, but she can also be very mobile and very flexible around the battlefield.
Which this does mean you're putting pressure on Fnatic to find the most optimal way to actually lock Maeve down and keep her from being able to break those barriers.
Exactly. Terminus, another big one. But Terminus and Fernando locked in for Navi, and there's that lack of hesitation. I love this from them because they're saying, let's play our game. Fnatic, single tank it up. You got your Genos, you got your Inara. We know that you're going for that style, but we're going to go for ours.
And we've actually seen Phoenix on Terminus in particular.
Oh, yeah, he's a great one.
Yeah, lots of comfort there. So the fact that he's going to get to move back to those picks that have worked in the past, but in a way that's still relevant, it's not just deterring to comfort, then that could be the key condition for them.
And let's not forget, Navi used Maeve quite a lot at HRX. That was actually what Creatives, was able to pinch his way towards, pinch hit, so to speak, whenever they needed it, and it still was deadly. And part of the reason why NIP's Bird and everybody was saying, Creatives, you're the MVP, you enable Navi to do what they can do. If he shows up big, who had a quiet Vegas, I think this is going to be a good lineup for Navi to succeed.
So what do you think about bringing Barrack as the last pick for Fnatic?
I think Fnatic now are adjusting a little bit to Navi. I think they realize we don't feel comfortable going up against a Terminus and Fernando and a Cassie and a Maeve with only one tank. That Maeve alone can delete Inara if she gets 2 pounces off. So at this point, they need the extra coverage. The Barrack, interestingly, chosen over the Khan.
Well, that's going to be actually our lock-in of the draft. So it's going to be game number 1 for our EU teams, Fnatic and Navi. Let's find out what happens.
Thanks, gang. Pretty Hair and Shift here to bring you the call for this other side, the European semifinal here. And already some stark differences here in the draft. Ruckus is banned out versus it was going like 8th, 9th in the G2 Envy set.
It's really interesting to see, especially on a map like this, where you want that Ruckus to be able to get that very burst mobility, to get that platform kind of presence, but it's not the case at all. Barrack is very interesting on this map simply because you have to find these little cheeky spots to set up those turrets so they stay safe. They're so close to those proximity points that they can get bursted down very quickly if you're not careful.
I'm excited to see some Cassie as well. That was banned out every single game in that prior set in North America, but now we're in Europe. Same kind of score lines here for the most part. Fnatic undefeated 8-0. Navi coming in at 8-2. But don't get it twisted. These two teams go back and forth like, just the most deep rivalry in Europe between these two dogs.
Yeah, that week 3 in particular, best of 7, best of 5 goes all the way to 5, 99 to 99%, 3-3. It's about as close as it gets. It is a tinkering from Bugsy. That was the interesting thing, was maybe he would try to switch it up because of everything going on, but not the case.
I honestly would have thought Bugsy would have been on Inara personally, but we'll see. Man, when's the last time Bugsy played Barrack?
Yeah, right?
But Bugsy, I will say, for me, Bugsy's the most flexible player in Paladins.
You think so?
I think so.
Oh, we'll see what happens here as he gets through. Thriel is on the point already, and he's already got about 3/4 of his life to play with. And it's interesting because you can see Unbelievable is right there with him.
Was that Just Breathe?
That's what I was just about to say. It looked like it was a Just Breathe Cassie sitting in the back line to help kind of counter out some of this sniper play and possibly coming out from the Shaolin. But here it comes. It's actually Unbelievable falling from Thiel.
Bittner puts 2 quick ones in Unbelievable as well to help take him down 2 streak. As Bugsy starts the cannon rush up to the top, and we've even got Theal's player cam up there just to reinforce my stereotype. I could have swore. I mean, the Tinker and Barrack here, pretty standard stuff for Theal. 72% though out of the gate for Fnatic.
Look how Bugsy is playing this. He's playing kind of a piggyback game with his turret, setting up one, falling back to another, setting up one, falling back to another. It's making it life very difficult for Mutu. And now he comes in, but the barricade will actually block off all of Bugsy's health pool. So Mutu's in a very awkward spot to try to navigate around the statue.
Yeah, I don't love the angles he's got to play with at the moment. 2 streak, but the front line, in terms of just the point presence, it's going to be a little bit stronger for Navi. So once they're 5 strong, once they get back to the objective, they're in control pretty quickly. Fnatic have to find another way in.
They need to find a way to get this Cassie off this platform as well, and there's really nobody who's going to be able to do it with the exception of possibly Theal to rush this left side. You see him running on the point right now, but he's got unbelievable to deal with, and his health pool is actually falling pretty low, but good trigger of the power siphon to keep the health pool up.
Phoenix finds the first kill of this fight onto Phoenix. 93% for Fnatic to 72. For Natus, Vincere, the frag starting to fall the way of red. Navi are filling up the kill feed. Mutu finds 2. 72% for the boys in black and yellow, but it looks like they'll come through with this fight and potentially take the first capture of the game.
They need to find a way to deal with creatives if you're looking at Fnatic right now, because that whole fight, he was on that platform just picking apart that little cross angle. There was no way for Genos to get up to the front to help out Theal whatsoever. So if you're looking at Fnatic, you need to find a way to displace creatives from being so comfortable right now.
And talk about like what it is stylistically, because Just Breathe is not what we're used to seeing
Not
out
at
of
all.
Cassie.
Yeah, it's the impulse build, that burst damage you're most used to, but in this instance, they are playing Cassie more like a sniper, and Shaolin's not able to set up and plant or do really anything because of that consistent poke that Cassie brings.
They don't have necessarily a hit scan threat to take out this Strogos, but they've done a good job at keeping a lid on Fishy so far. Theal falling pretty low. Fishy finds the first frag, but Theal falls quickly thereafter. 153 on the clock as Natus and Vincere look to break this first corner on Frog Isle.
And all the cooldowns are down for Bugsy. You see he had to use a rocket boost just to get away, and he almost barely didn't do that. Midnight possible for Mutu. He's got a lot of angles here and finds Shaolin, but a really good withdrawal from Binder to try to get away, but can he completely survive? Looks like he just barely will.
The precision, just mechanical nature of Mutu's play, you can even see it reflected in the spectator cam. It's really a marvel to watch here. Last fight potentially of this round. Creatives moves in for the kill onto Binder. The backline is under tremendous pressure, but they all make it out alive until now.
Until now, because look at the front line. Theal, Bugsy, the first 2 to fall, and no one can contest at that point. And this is starting to look like the Fnatic of old back from the fall, where they were running Theal on that solo Inara. Bugsy just has not been able to communicate by the looks of it with Theal to try to get them set up around those turrets, around those barricades. You have to use the positioning of that barrack to set up your front line. And so far, it's just been all Navi, just picking it apart, separating and creating a line between the front and the back line.
What a great start for the world champions here. And talking to some of the other players, they regard Navi as a pretty down on themselves team. And frankly, I could see that. You know, they have 4 quiet guys. Phoenix is the big talker on this roster. And it's like if they get down early, communication, I could see it coming to a halt, right? And then it's going to be tough to spark it back up and make sure that they're happy and hyped. And Natus and Vincere at the moment are looking very happy and hyped, and that's pretty scary for Fnatic.
Yeah, that morale boost too as well for Cassie is a very interesting pickup just to try to keep that extra mobility in sight online for the team. And it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be able to find a response. Fishko going to put a nice little dragon punch in from the corner, but you can see it's going to be the Midnight right afterwards, and Fishko's going to commit. He will take down Phoenix, but he does trade his life away.
And I don't even know if Phoenix thought that was going to go the distance there. Mutu has been pretty damn on point with this Mave. It was a big factor, a big wink addition for Team Envious in their set. 110 HP to his name. He's going to barely skate out of this fight. Garrett finds one with the laser beam. A great way to start this fight for Fnatic.
Yeah, but can Mutu find the peel here to help Unbelievable stay alive? Looks like they will find Theal. It's a good trade. Now they got to find a way to get Phoenix online if he wants to stay in. Fish Echo's actually going to be burned away. Has to back up. And again, look, Bugsy's trying to set up right up front to try to keep his teammates alive. And really, it's just not going all that well for Fnatic. They're still getting pushed around.
Just barely missing that fireball there. 63% for Navi on the objective. Their front line holding things down. Bugsy forced to rocket boots away, but he is not making it out of this fight.
Bittner trying to find a way to make things happen. Is he actually going to scout out the mid? That's actually a huge pickoff just to let Mutu go back. That was almost going to be the backline exposed once again, but Bittner shuts it down for just a quick second. Ooh, mid-air impale. Not quite able to follow up the planet, though.
This Mutu, I don't know how the hell he's staying alive here. He's ducking in between each and every tree, using all the branches and the leaves to his favor. and he's just barely going to be able to make it out. In fact, getting a kill before being punished.
And that's what you want to see every single time from Mutu. That's 100% worth. If you can take down a frontliner or a support for your life, it's going to be worth it because Creative is going to have the space, and he's able to get 2. And you said at the peel that came out from Unbelievable at the power siphon is great. He still has the reanimate, so he's right back at it. Through time and space, will take away half his HP, but he should be able to soak it back up thanks to Maldop.
It's the right idea there, and this front line from Navi just being so stalwart. Theo is going to be able to take down Creatives even inside of the power siphon. Mutu picks up the double kill here, and I actually want to look at the slash lines here because I feel like Mutu has got to have one hell of a KD at this point. He has been really, really pulling a lot of weight for me on this Mave. Always seems like he gets a kill whenever he commits.
Yeah, the 9 kills is absolutely huge. Best on the server at the moment. Of course, the 4 deaths. But again, if he's finding 1 or 2 every single life he comes out, that's 100% worth it. So you're looking at a total of 14 and 4 when it comes to the overall eliminations to death. That's a really good number for Mutu here. Again, not a lot of room to move around as Mave on this map. So the fact that he's able to do that is huge.
Now he's got an opportunity to move in here. The gas pedal's been hit. The Dread Serpent has been popped. Mutu misses a couple of key in-hands, but will connect onto Bugsy in a big way.
Look how disjointed Fnatic is, though. Bugsy's on one side of the map, Feel's on the other, all because of one Midnight. They need to find a way to keep themselves composed when that happens and try to find your friends, because if they keep pulling out Feel and Bugsy in 2 different sides of the map, they're going to be dissected like this all day.
You know, it comes down to identity for me a little bit. I don't love Bugsy on this off.
Yeah, it's off. It's really strange.
I don't love it. And you know, going way back, Rainday used to absolutely flame Stolzy whenever he would be put on a second frontliner or Grover or something like that. I'm kind of feeling that way on Bugsy. It's like it's putting these ankle weights on one of the best players, I think, in the scene.
Well, especially when you're dealing with this aggressive Fernando from Phoenix and Unbelievable who's able to follow up. They're on 2 different sides of this entrance. They're completely bottlenecking it. Thiel has to come in. He tries to go with an impasse, but it's not going to make a difference. It's just really good, calm, precise play from Navi.
Creative's just screaming into his headset. Navi are feeling good, dialed in. Not a lot of emotion from some of those 3 guys on the right, but that's business as usual for the black and yellow. Phoenix looking good, feeling good. Fnatic looking a bit stunned. They are the top seed. They had the first map pick. They just got 4-0'd.
Yeah, very handedly, too. I mean, I don't want to say it wasn't even close, but there were so many moments where they didn't even look like they were in the same league at certain points. But, you know, it's just interesting as this lane is going to develop.
Yeah.
You know, Fnatic is going to try to find a way to keep their play style in hand. Navi is going to try to find a way to keep their play style in hand. And Fnatic, who's usually so aggressive, that was a very passive approach to them as far as the draft goes, in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they find a way to work Bugsy back into DPS, because we talked about back in Vegas, they played a lot of double tank. Now it's Vincere were the ones trying to force the 3 DPS issue. I think those roles need to swap.
I think so, too.
I mean, let's get it back to the desk, guys. Break down this first game.
That's the Navi that everybody fell in love with back in January.
It certainly is. It was a team that looked on fire. They looked determined. You know, I mean, whether you're yelling your mic, it's not to the enemy team. It's to your teammates saying, guys, let's get back what we had at the start of this year. And they are clearly making a statement with a 4-0 over Fnatic.
I think it's worth mentioning that all of them seem to fall within their stride, doing exactly what they needed to do, but Mutu pulling us back to the classic Mutu play, where you can give him any type of champion that has mobility, and even on a map that doesn't necessarily lend itself towards that, he can make it look like a playground.
And, you know, it shows you the power of builds and the power of Street Justice. This build goes with the damage reduction. You're getting 48% after diminishing returns. And remember that sequence where Shaolin, Isbitner, was trying to find him, and he just kept hiding behind pillars. He'd get one little shot, get a little heal again, move, and it was just like, how long is Mutu going to stay alive? It's because of this Street Justice Mave. This style of Mave is so important to why Navi are able to be successful. It was at HRX, and it still is now.
And that moment you talked about where Bittner was trying to find him, that went for so long.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, he was around the back of the capture area and then over it, and then next thing you know, he's still alive, and
Crazy.
Bittner has to say, who am I going to go focus on next? I just wasted about 25 seconds.
And, you know, I think the big thing, too, for me is that looking at Mutu, it's great to see him have a star-studded performance. But you have the Cassie let through first pick. I mean, I don't get Cassie in my ranked games. Why are you giving the best players in the world Cassie in the most important tournament? You know, at least for now, we've got another big one coming up through the rest of this week. I don't understand the strategy behind it, and you end up giving Bugsy a very average Barrack pick to flex on.
And we're talking about it a little bit while we're watching how when you have that leftover pick on someone that, yes, their strength is that they can play so many things,
Exactly.
but you don't get to optimize that actual pick for that player.
It's like a guy who has a who's like, I could eat anything, you know, but then all of a sudden everybody eats all the good food, and then all of a sudden the guy's left with like some tomatoes, a little bit of like spinach on the side, like, you know, half a hamburger with some mustard on it, no ketchup, and you're like, well, I said I could eat anything, but I didn't mean I wanted to eat something that was not tasty. And that's what happened. Bugsy just didn't get a great pick, and he could play it, but it didn't matter.
And he did try early on. I liked some of his positioning when Fnatic had first locked down onto the objective.
Right.
And then he went on those kind of paths that are by the hazard zone. It was setting up his turrets nicely. But the fact of the matter is Navi seemed like they were waiting for that to happen so that then they could break through. So all of that was completely nullified. And now we're going to Ascension Peak for the first time today.
It's a good map. I like this map. I think right now Fnatic have to be a little worried. But it was good to see Theo. He turned around, sitting in his chair, he was talking to the guys, said, you know, started the dialogue. Because after a big loss like that, a 4-0, coming after a disappointing loss in Vegas, you need to not let silence take over. You got to have a dialogue. Hey, guys, what do we do wrong? Just so that you realize that this is really just about making changes. It's malleable. The set can keep going. It will go for quite a while, but you can't let one win throw you off like that.
And Theo and Jera both mentioned in the interview the young guns on the roster and how gaining that LAN experience is very helpful. But you need to make sure that you're not focusing too much on that as the actual, in this moment, you are a team, you are a unit, you are going against a team that is acting as a team and unit. So forget about all that. Just keep that communication up.
I think Fnatic have a hard time going against teams that have a decision made around the double tank. I think Fnatic like the single tank. I think it works for them. It's what was so successful for them. I think they got thrown off in their identity when Envy did it, and now Navi had recommitted because of losing the Envy, that the double tank is something that they are fine with. Fnatic in that position over the Barrack might have been better off going a triple DPS, especially with the Genos in hand. So you gotta think that maybe Fnatic just go back to their ways.
They can do it. They've been doing it before it was even popular within this current meta. And I think that's one thing that Navi, when they look back at their losses at the last LAN, and at least they were able to say, we were trying something that didn't seem to work for us or within that meta. That's much easier to correct than we can play all these different strategies. They're just not connecting against X
Are you
team.
serious?
They let it through. You seem a little shocked over there.
I really am shocked. And I think Fnatic, and I've seen this with D69 guys in the past, the stubbornness to say, we did it right, and we're just going to do it again. But that's the whole point of a dialogue. Talk about what went wrong. I don't think letting the Cassie through was great. I mean, you have an option to let a Shaolin through as well. And you can have Mutu and Creatives on a Shaolin and a Cassie on Ascension Peak. Great maps for them. You know, the flexibility, despite you getting a Nara and Maeve, which I think are great picks as well, I just feel worried about giving up that first pick Cassie.
And I guess maybe when you're in a best of 7, you are afforded a little bit of leeway technically.
Yeah, you're feeling
if you
the
don't
waters.
want to ban that target pick, and Cassie's not a target pick, but at least when you're thinking about in terms of creatives getting that pick, you can technically afford to delay that choice a little bit, but at the same time, you don't want to give up that room.
And here's what's happening. Navi are saying, okay, we will take Cassie and Shaolin and Fernando.
Everybody.
Now, the Maeve does, again, do well against the Fernando. But don't you feel a little bit more confident with a Maeve or any type of flanker that's strong in this position against a Strix? I don't feel as threatening. Cassie's range, she's mid-range, she's up close, she's everything. And vision, which is really tough to counter the Maeve in general.
And also trying to think about how much experience these teams each have on Ascension Peak, because if you are going into the sniper, I think there are ways that you can lock it down, but if you're not as familiar of how to do that on this map, then it might be better to just take it off the table.
Pip and Genos locked in for Fnatic. And you know, again, Fnatic definitely going more towards a triple DPS now. You could run a Catalyst Pip here and keep the Luminary. It's going to look good for them. They have a lot of offensive threats, and so that's something that you got to feel confident on, especially if you're flexing his Bittner onto that Pip as you've seen before. Really, Bugsy should be playing the Maeve here, and you're looking for something for Fisheko towards the end around this out. But Navi still have 2 picks. And it most likely, I'm guessing, will be a Terminus and something else to kind of augment, maybe a Moldamba to really go with these 2 front lines.
Yeah, based on their past play, Navi, I don't expect them to go to the triple DPS unless it's a definite necessity, rather, in that matchup.
Yep.
So here's the Terminus to lock it down. They have their 2 frontliners once more.
And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Why not? I mean, you did well with this lineup. Go back at it again. I think Navi have been good in the draft. That's what separated them at HRX. Not only did they draft well, flawlessly essentially, they also played flawlessly. They're looking like, at least in game 1, the Navi of old. Fnatic with a Zen and the Luminary. Now this is a composition that I feel has some definite win potential for Fnatic. I like this much better. Go big or go home, like Johnny Tsunami says.
But I love the fact that you have Navi, who they are very comfortable with this type of strategy. Fnatic, same thing on the opposite end. So when they have both maximized themselves in the draft, you gotta wait to see that clash. So let's go ahead into game number 2.
I think my biggest takeaway from that draft is now I know who coined that phrase.
Yeah.
Go big or go home.
Nothing is Kim possible when you've got Johnny Tsunami.
And I
You're welcome for that one, Evan.
I love it. I love it. The back and forth here. And that's the best because you get the last word. He can't say anything. Now.
Nothing.
He's off
Not
the
even in
screen.
my ear. He can't say anything.
Done for. You're done, son. Outplayed by I hold shift. But a great draft, I think.
Yeah.
One that's more characteristic of both of these teams here. I'm feeling much better about Fnatic, but at the same time, it's still really kind of solid shit across the board for Navi.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when we were talking at the end of the first game, was Fnatic look so passive. There's nothing passive about this this roster at all when it comes to this comp. I mean, the solo Inara is very familiar with Thiel, but you have the double flank, you have Pip, you've got Genos to run Luminary. This just feels like the aggression that we all want to see out of Fnatic.
And I'm curious to get your thoughts on Ascension Peak and this. What do you think? Single front line, double front line? Do you have a preference? Because this point is so big, there is a lot of cover on this objective for a solo front line to get a lot of time on it.
Yeah, if you don't have your abilities, like specifically Inara, you don't have to worry about the impasse being up. You can break the line of sight, get your cauterize refreshed by just using those statues and those little doorways that are out there. And when you have someone like a Pip who is so good at getting that big burst heal, it immediately puts you right back in, especially if the timing is good. And that's a very high level, high IQ style of play if you're a newer player out there looking at how can I up my front game, or if you're looking to up your support game. That's definitely kind of the game inside of the game. For specifically Thiel's, can he break the cauterize and can his supports re-bolster his health pool quickly?
That's going to be huge, and that's what, this is going to probably be Bittner on the Pip, right? He is probably going to be running Catalyst here, and that's a great combination with the Luminary. But Inara, Thiel probably picking up Rejuve here, and Nate bonus healing from Earthen Guard. I think even that Catalyst Pip has an opportunity to actually bring a lot of weight and sway a lot of fights with Healing Potion.
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, Healing Potion, whether it is a Mega Potion build or a regular build, is still a nice burst heal.
Right.
It's exactly what you want to expect, and especially that it's a radius burst heal, you can do a lot to keep everybody else alive as well. So that's definitely going to be a key, when you look at the Pip, is can he efficiently get those heals off? Ascension Peak, again, the biggest interesting point is these elongated fights on the capture point. They usually go sometimes up to 3-4 minutes before somebody captures. Who can really sustain the battle of attrition?
I have to see Thiel straight into Rejuvenate, like we were wondering about. So he's going to be getting extra big burst heals. Unbelievable. Playing this corner. Takes a decent chunk of initial poke. Will misses Shatterfall. First blood falls to Bugsy.
This is really interesting considering that you want that Zen to get aggressive, but it's Fisheko also getting aggressive, actually bullying out the Fernando, who is in a little bit of trouble having both flanks right in front of him. So now it's Fnatic just absolutely all over the map in a cool and concise way. This is the difference, is look how they're moving together. Even Fisheko's pushing himself forward. We expected Bittner to be there, but now the aggression between both of these players is really kind of going hand in hand.
And let's talk about who's playing what for Fnatic. I gotta say, I was definitely with Rain Day there. You gotta kind of go with what history has shown you, but very different roles being played and filled here by the guys in orange and black.
And it's going to be interesting, I think, when you watch Fisheko and how he maneuvers with the weightless and how he can use that to not only retreat, but also chase down kills. That's the style that we normally see from Fisheko, and one that was probably going to be a staple here.
209 on the objective here. As Fnatic have come away with the first point here. They're breaking the first corner, and this is the first real choke point, if you want to call it that, on Ascension Peak, where a lot of people look to make a stand.
Yeah, Phoenix on the right-hand side. You can see him on that staircase. Is going to be the one responsible for holding down the high ground if he can. But here comes Fisheko. Look how aggressive he's getting. He's got Spunky right in front of him. One more shot will do. Oh my goodness, what a play that was to impale him away.
And the fact that Unbelievable was even left alive that long is really showing the target prioritization here. Bittner flying up in the air, floating, but being stunned out, just barely gets around the corner, resets his cooldowns, dashes back up into the air, just trying to preserve as much hang time as possible to allow that Genos heal to tick back through.
It's not just Creatives who's doing a lot of the pressuring, but one person we've not seen yet is the Cassie from Mudu. He's got to find a way to dodge roll in and chase down kills, but that's huge. Why not? Able to find one kill. Mudu also low. Oh my goodness, Bittner able to find out both, and now he's in the back line.
Bittner's Mave, the triple kill. He's looking for the quadra kill. Creatives is all that stands left for Natus Vincere between Fnatic and Conversion, and they're just going to wall Spunky off, former teammate to Thiel, now pushing forward into his own base. Fnatic with a quick 2-0 lead.
That's probably the fastest we've ever seen a first round on Ascension Peak. Period.
I would have to agree with you.
Like in not even just the PPL, like in all of Paladins, there's never been a quicker round one.
That's pretty
maybe not that much.
Bold statement there. But Navi, they've been hit back. And, you know, this is that Fnatic composition. I will say, maybe not quite as dominant. Here's some of the talents available, but Bittner's Mave has been looking really good. And you got to say, when you're talking about just like raw mechanics, he is sort of that guy for Fnatic.
Absolutely. I mean, he's technical as all get out. I mean, he's never in a bad spot, hardly ever. If it is, it's because something went wrong, not usually on his own hands. But the most surprising thing is that damage dealt chart. I mean, Fish Echo, again, we were surprised to see him on the pit, but he's finding all this damage with that Catalyst pip at the moment. And now Midnight's going to start things off for Fnatic as they try to find their second point.
6% now. Bugsy will be ulting. Unbelievable. Looks like the guillotine just slayed him out immediately. Unbelievable. Completely shredded apart. Mutu under so much pressure, he's been virtually non-existent in this game.
And where's the answer at the moment? Again, you can see he's even waitlisting into the situation. The Dread Serpent will at least peel a little bit of space, but it's wow, just big damage finding on the right target. Spunky falls quickly. Unbelievable coming to this fight late, but again, it just kind of feels like no one's able to deal the damage right now for Navi.
And this is what I love about Fnatic. This feels like Fnatic are playing so fast that Natus Vincere don't have a hope. They can't get a plan together. They can't communicate quick enough before Fnatic are just eviscerating them. And that's why I love Fnatic on this 3 DPS composition.
And it's all high mobility damage as well. I mean, you wouldn't normally associate Pip with high mobility, but with the way that Fish Echo is using this waitlist to chase down kills and move half the map in an instance, is able to help support when the Xin gets in trouble or when the Mave wants to push. It's double flank at its finest right now.
I loved it. The mobility, the aggression, the violence, the speed, the momentum from Fnatic. A little bit shut down there. Bittner's already picked up 2 in this fight. Mave is just completely blowing my expectations out of the water. He has looked phenomenal so far on this pick, and it's really something that is playing well for Fnatic. There's Steel picking up 1 more on the back line just to keep the momentum going. Where does it stop?
Well, that was the interesting thing with Navi. Creatives and Mudu wanted to survive. They wanted to keep this point under pressure, but in doing that, they actually had to retreat moving forward, and they separated themselves from their spawn. So that was actually a brilliant stagger here from Fnatic. Now they have just the frontliners to deal with very little damage consistency. You can see Thiel's putting himself right into harm's way, and now again another spike comes out, and unbelievable. 1 HP gets sliced through.
Just barely survives there. Bugsy will lose his life for it to make sure that that kill got confirmed. Mutu falls again. Has he been able to pick up a kill this round? I mean, from his Mave performance to now, what a change we have seen.
Yeah, Phoenix and the Desperate. Immortal as well. He's just getting bursted by every single side. The Dread Serpent will help keep some space alive, but they have to use more to try to get the kills done. Again, look at the kill feed. There is none. Now finally, Creative's able to find Fish Echo, which will cause Fnatic to retreat back, but this is a very good tactical retreat. Regroup. You got plenty of time. Try to get your ults farmed up while you're poking at the moment.
50 seconds still on the clock. And then some for Fnatic. And look how damn close the payload is. It's sitting at about 95% right now. Not even necessarily a win for Fnatic, but small little window. A mistake from Natus Vincere could cost them the game.
Or one good impasse might be able to separate off some of these frontliners, and that's exactly what's happening. Unbelievable seems to be the target at the moment, but the damage dealers just aren't here. This is the hard part with all of these flanks. If it is a full 5-man defense, it's going to be hard for Bugsy or Bittner to try to move their way in, as you can see him getting poked out here.
Absolutely. So much long-range potential up on the rafters here for Navi. We're seeing 1/2 of that duo pick the kill so far. Phoenix finds another. The last 16 seconds of the clock start to tick out. How fast it can go if you're not careful here. A couple little mistakes there, but there's an early frag onto Mutu. Bugsy's coming back. I think we're going to see an overtime.
Yeah, and you can see Fish Echo is pushing forward that waylist. He does get stunned, but Spunky's also low and falls. This is a bad situation. You have a Pip coming out with Evil Mojo, able to find another kill, and this very well be a 4-0 if they're not careful.
Spite's coming up as well. Spite is available for Bugsy. He could slay. Unbelievable. He's coming back. You know Bugsy's hunting for him, but he gets taken out. Mutu may have just saved the game.
Very close. Thiel will also be taken down. That is the end of this overtime. But my goodness, was it an absolutely desperate situation for those frontliners having to keep themselves alive. Bittner has just been an absolute nuisance. You can see him escaping with less than 100 HP and then coming back. Look how quickly he's getting this health back. Effective HP in the middle of fights has been absolutely insane. Bittner has been on par with his Maeve play today.
And he has to be. I think Fnatic, like Jordy said, all of them have to play well if they're going to take a championship in either of these events, the PPL Spring Finals or the Masters LAN. And not a traditional pick for Bittner, and not a traditional pick. This is a projectile character for all intents and purposes. We're seeing Mutu playing it for Navi. We're seeing Bittner playing it for Fnatic here. As we're just about ready to get back into what could be the final round here of Ascension Peak, Fnatic have had an absolutely dominant start.
Navi needs to find a way to get this damage online early. If they find themselves kind of sitting and being planted up, maybe even literally with the Shaolin, it's going to be very dangerous. You can see even already a dodge roll has to come out just to keep the Cassie to be in range to do any kind of damage.
And they tried to use the Dread Serpent to peel Bugsy off, but it didn't work. 2 for nothing. For Fnatic, 3 for nothing. For Fnatic, the news shift, it's starting to tighten. Desperate heat haze comes out here from Creative. Spunky's alone with Bugsy in a small room, and you know how that goes.
Never good if you're Spunky in that situation. 69% and now counting up, and again, it's going to be a desperate situation here for Navi. They're so staggered. They're still missing the Maldama, the Shaolin, now just respawning, and you can see Fernando's trying to push through. Phoenix is there, but again, Mutu has got no way to get there. A very easy win here for Fnatic, almost as if the tables immediately flipped.
Trading each other's map picks out. Fnatic, easy game on Ascension Peak. Navi, easy game on Frog Isle. But that sets us up for a very interesting set, because now no one really has momentum. They've both been crushed back and forth. So now we just have to see where this set evolves, which team is able to bounce back or get something going early, because this is going to be a long one.
I think mindset at this point is, you know, just clear the table. This is now a best of 5. Don't even think about the first 2 games, because both teams had moments of brilliance and moments of just what went wrong. It just did not look like they've been playing for the last 5 weeks, 6 weeks if you count Vegas for these 2 teams. So it's going to be interesting to see how these next possible 5 games go.
Great draft, great execution from Fnatic. Girls and boys at the desk, what do you think?
I mean, apparently, easy game, easy life.
Apparently,
Fnatic.
yeah. I mean, Fnatic look good. Again, they go with something that's tried and true for them, and Navi go with something that's tried and true for them. But Fnatic finally, I think, just feeling so good that they finally get a little bit back in their court, so to speak, that it overpowers Navi overall.
And speeding up Ascension Peak, I thought, hey, we're usually in for a long haul. I went and I grabbed a chicken tender.
That was
I
fast.
was like, yeah, this is going to be a sit and chill for a little bit. Watch this. Not so much.
Well, that map's also very interesting because it's very fun to watch, and it usually is constant action no matter what. And, one of the bigger players in this set was Fisheko, and the way that he was able to pilot this Pip. When you have a Pip like this, who is an X Factor, he could be extremely dominating, and he could also be kind of meh. When you make a player like Fisheko step up, and he does, then this is exactly what Fnatic know they need to do to win. They've got to have plays from him.
A couple really killer evil mojos that just turned the tide for them completely. And then that in combination with some of the play from the rest of the team. You saw Bittner popping off in a couple cases, really amplifying that DPS potential.
Again, the Maeve. The reason I feel Maeve is so strong, and it's the same way I feel like Leon can be used so strong. If you can maximize the potential of Maeve, which is really easier to do than Leon, in my opinion, then you can have a pick that's usually not going to get banned or first picked. In the most part, now people are starting to catch on and still control the game. It's like a free Cassie. People don't really know it's that level. And speaking of the Cassie, didn't do too much for Navi. I think it's really because they just had so much damage on the side of Fnatic. Cassie was just overwhelmed from the beginning.
And interesting when we were speaking earlier about G2, how it is dependent upon Evil Eye and bodies if they can pop off.
Yeah.
We haven't really said that about Fnatic, but there's a clear whenever Fisheko is on a pick where he's getting to pop off in a way or Bittner is looking pretty comfortable, then it kind of negates some of those synergistic issues from earlier.
I mean, you made that's a great word, comfortable. When you think of Bittner, when you think of Fisheko, when you think of Bugsy, do you think of any of those players as being a better tank than they are a damage dealer? I don't think any of those guys lean more towards tank than damage. When you put them in positions to change the game offensively, they do it. But when you try to go around a meta and don't play to what the strengths of your team are, that's why you start to lose. That's why Fnatic was 8-0 this season in the PPL, playing this style.
And getting to see Bugsy on something that's much more in his stride.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than previously with the Barrack, which was just lackluster.
I mean, Bugsy's the king of making lackluster things look good. And I mean, that's a stat in itself. but I gotta see him come off of these Barrack picks, these kind of meh. All right, let me take something here. Get him onto a power pick, a big swing pick, and he was. And I was very excited to see Fnatic kind of finding their ways. I think this is going to be a long set. I think they're going to go at least 5 games here. Europe is known for their analytics, and usually when you run analytics, you know what happened, but you don't know what's going to happen. So you're going to see sets and games taken by each team as they adjust to what just happened in the last game, I think.
And Navi wanted to go to Ascension Peak. That was their choice.
I mean, Navi definitely coming off with some confidence, but that's before the set. They had that scheduled before game 1, and they still felt good about it. Fnatic had to make adjustments, and it worked. Here's where you start to see how good Navi is feeling, because if they make adjustments based on knowing what Fnatic just succeeded with, this should be a different draft. Snipers won't be a problem here. It's been an issue for the first 2 maps, and so now how do they handle these smaller maps like Jaguar Falls or these older maps like Serpent Beach?
And I do agree with what the casters were saying, where each team had a win that was pretty dominating for them so far in the set. So you can just try and wipe that off. Know as Fnatic that obviously we've proven that we are in this fight. Navi, hey, we didn't really do things so great in game number 2, but game number 1 showed that we have some strength.
And honestly, that's the best thing these teams can have. You know, heading into these next champion drafts, when you get ousted, right? You kind of don't really look at that as a big loss. You're like, oh, we lost by 30, we lost by 40. Come on. I mean, that's not really the case. We just had a bad night. When you have the same thing happen, the other team feels the same way. So now these 2 teams are like settled, I think. They're like, all right, we could beat them, they could beat us. We know it. We both just 4-0'd each other. Now let's try and make every play matter, every detail important.
And honestly, it's going to probably put you in a better position than if you were dragging it out to that very last point
and
for 2 whole games and you lose.
Yep.
Yeah, then at least you got to conserve some energy. It gives you a moment to step back and actually use that analysis that they're known for to go into this draft. But it's going to be Ruckus and Makoa banned away so far.
Europe is notorious for doing the same thing over and over again in drafts, but you can't ban snipers here. So now they're going to have to change their next picks, and it's the 3 and 4 slots which are going to interest me. Fnatic at this point have every right to ban a Cassie, but they're letting it through. And I think this is an interesting thing. It didn't help them when they played Envy. Navi not winning that last game could not take it here and prioritize maybe an Inara because 3 tanks are banned out. So if they don't feel comfortable or they want both tanks, they know they're going to have to prioritize at least one so they don't get stuck with like a Torvald Ruckus or a Torvald Barrack kind of thing.
Taking the Nando off the table, I love just thinking back to Frog Isle when there was that moment and Phoenix was just standing in front of creatives.
Yeah.
Shoot away, my friend, shoot away. It's okay, I got you.
You know, and going back to it, Fnatic kind of put them in a weird position where there aren't a lot of tanks, but Navi is really smart. They realized, Fnatic, you don't really want 2 tanks. So we're not worried about you taking Inara and Terminus. You're just going to take 1, so we can still take Cassie. So I don't know if Fnatic are actually kind of goading themselves into something that won't work for them in the end. They get their Inara, but Navi also get their Cassie, and they're going to get their prime tanks if they wanted to.
So I can see them picking up Terminus, somebody else potentially, but the Drogos probably going over to Fishy. We've seen him actually have some really great moments on that.
He's actually done much better when he's favored the Drogos lately than the Eevee, and that was one that we said, you know, who can play this Eevee? No one can really do it the way he can, but on LAN, she's feeling a little different to these players, and so that's why you're not seeing her here. It's not because Eevee just fell off, it's just she feels a little weird on LAN. That's kind of been the rumor mill running around, so you're going to see more Drogos prioritized for those bomb selections.
So Shaolin and Genos, I think Navi recognizing the fact that Fnatic is likely to go with the single frontliner of Inara, leaving till the last possible second, because why go and try and prioritize that? Yeah, if you're going to get that pick no matter what.
That's exactly right, Gabby. Why would you go and try and take something that is not a hot commodity? You could get it later. Go stand in line for the thing that's going to be sold out if you don't get it within the first 2 hours. Don't go and pick up bread. Right? Bread's going to be there. You're going to get your bread. You're going to get your milk. That's going to be available. I don't know, you may get your limited edition Power Ranger that comes out. I know my dad and mom are standing in that in line for my early Christmases, so I know those are the priorities.
But at the same time, being from Florida, when a hurricane's coming, they say the first thing you should go out is get the bread and eggs and all that, and they didn't get the bread, and now Terminus is on the opposite side.
I guess that depends. Do you consider Fnatic a hurricane coming right now against
Navi?
Navi?
Be. But that means Barrack is actually getting picked up by Navi.
This is a much more comfortable pick. When you think of unbelievable, do you think Umbi's better on a Cassie, or do you think you think more Barrack? You think more Barrack and Nara Fernando. He's a tank player, and he flexes on the tanks more often. So this doesn't worry me for Navi. And actually, the fact that they're bringing out Khan, his battle shout is one of those things that's really underestimated with the firing line talent. The CC immunity for his teammates, the damage immunity for himself, and basically the Luminary on top of the Luminary Genos. Ooh.
We're still waiting to see how Khan fares within this setting. Fnatic in the past saying they're not too worried about it, but one of these teams is going to be worried after this game as the other pulls ahead, so let's find out.
Curious to get your thoughts on the Khan here. I'm not the biggest fan of him. I think he's a bit of a walking ultimate here, but with the amount of highly telegraphed CC that Fnatic have, I think there's a lot of room for him to work.
I think so as well. When you talk about his ability to cancel out complete damage and those CCs, is going to be really, really huge if you can find the right triggers for it. It just feels like if you're looking at just the battle in the trenches, you're looking at Inara Terminus versus a Barrack and a Khan.
Yeah.
That tilts to the Inara Terminus every single time, in my opinion.
10
so
out of 10. I have to agree with you there. A lot of healing, a lot of thickness to get through for Natus Vincere, but it's Barrack Khan drafted, 7th, 8th, or 9th, 8th and 9th, excuse me. That's not their win condition, right?
No.
These priority picks, the Shaolin, Cassie with the Luminary backing it up. That's the win condition here for Navi.
And for me, as you look at, again, Mudu and Creatives playing the same characters they just came off of, how can you bounce back? How can you shake off the last game and come back playing what you know?
They both go into the blast shields early on. Going to be a lot of pressure from Bittner's Pip and Fasheko's Drogos. But even still, even if you have blast shields 3, sometimes you're still getting 2-tapped.
Yeah, off the bat though, that Spitfire will come through. Ooh, almost tried to fall off towards the torch, but Bugsy will still go down. Mudu with the impulse build, able to find the burst damage necessary to take down Terminus early.
I like it. Shots come through from Shaolin as well. 30% for Fnatic. Mentioned how they did have the stronger front line. A lot of bolts from Cassie, a lot of arrows from Shaolin, raining into Theo, but he is just so... He got healed through that damage, man. Not only did he just not stay strong, he was actually gaining HP.
That's the kind of the difficulty when your frontliners have to go into taking blast shields early. There's no cauterize there. The Pip heal is still huge. Maldama heal is huge. And the 88 HP of Cassie just does not stand up to all that in the backline. Once again, you can see over a quarter of the HP of Theo instantly given back. And even though Bugsy fell early, Fnatic looked calm and collected all the way through it, keeping the Inara up.
I still can't believe it, man. That was incredible. That's the definition of Inara right there. She is so difficult early game to bring down. And I like this use of Power Siphon here to keep Fasheko safe as he slowly climbs his way forward. One into the back of Mutu here would spell his doom. It'll be Bugsy with a Calamity Blast.
Where was Mutu going?
I don't know. Mutu, I'm telling you what, bro. He has these moments where he just goes full T1000 and he just dives the backline. There's moments of patience, and then other times I'm like, who the hell is this player? Yeah. He is absolutely is seeing red as he dives the backline.
Tried to find a way to tread out his life, I imagine, but just did not have a health pool in front of him to do it. Good comeback here with Fasheco coming through, but Phoenix able to find some long distance burst with the Khan, able to take him down. So now, how do you play this if you're Fnatic? It looks like it's going to have to be a retreat as they lose one of every category. Bugsy and Gera also going down. Bittner in trouble, so is Thiel. And if they can find Thiel here, this would be a great stagger if they can take down the Inara.
He's a tough one to bring down, though, early game, and he's just going to reset himself, jump off the map, call that one done and dusted. Fnatic, plenty of ultimates to work with here. And a decent amount of time as well. The damage chart's pretty heavily red and blue here, exchanging back and forth. And I'm not too worried about this Terminus damage at the moment because I will say Bugsy has been very focused on just covering Fasheco.
Yep. And that's his goal. That's absolutely. He doesn't have to do a lot of damage when you're dealing with a front line that already has the advantage. The Fasheco will find Phoenix, so now a possibility to move things forward. Evil Mojo also came out, but they didn't find a kill off of it. Creative's in a very interesting spot as well, but he's low, and Thiel sniffs him out. Can they find the last burst? Ooh, does not look like he might. There it is, finally. Goodness.
Thiel just barely missed that Sizer crash, but doesn't matter. Gets a nice, juicy burst heal from this Catalyst Pip. We talked about that synergy potential there. Phoenix throws up the shield. He's trying with all of his might. Khan, a very mighty champion. Does he pop the overpower? Does he throw somebody off the map? No.
This is interesting because, again, when you have Bugsy coming through as strong as he has been so far in this game, and the frontliners for Navi are just getting staggered out left and right, there's no way for them to contest point. Even as both of them are there, the health pools just do not match up. And if Bittner keeps hitting big hits like that, it's just going to be this burst damage just being the storyline for me.
Uh-oh. Fishy's giggling. You know what
That's
that
never
means.
good.
That is never good at all. Navi, the conversation is still going, which is good. Talking about that communication, the conversation needs to continue to evolve. They need to be better this round. And I mean, why wouldn't you be giggling if you're Fishy? You've got your own personal escort service, the bodyguard. Bugsy has been using virtually all of his power siphon juice just to keep Fsheko safe, to escort dragon punches. It's really interesting to watch.
And as you look at the items here for Navi, there's just not a lot of cauterize because, again, Mudu has to go into the blast shields too just to try to stay alive. And now a big flank coming out. Salvo and Spitfire combo doesn't quite connect as the barricade was good. But still, 21% for Fnatic. And now moving back to the point as Bittner finds 2 more. This is absolutely insane to see. Bugsy staying alive again.
Red Serpent gets countered out, I think, by the battle shout there. Bugsy eating a lot of damage, but Khan doesn't have a lot of DPS to gas pedal down Terminus. It's just not going to happen. Bittner's picked up 3 in this engagement so far. He does go down to Phoenix. Phoenix is doing a good job throwing people around, staying alive, buying time, but no kills are falling for Navi.
Yeah, when Fsheko's getting out of battle with 29 HP, not able to get converted on, that's absolutely huge. Big salvo almost finds Mudu, but not quite. The heat haze coming out. Creative's able to find himself too, but still on the point as Bugsy likely will fall. But Feel is coming to help pass on baton between the front lines. Get out of here. No way he survives here.
No, he simply can't. He simply can't. He's got 300 HP. Shoot him. Finally takes him down, but he has to reanimate. Dome shield's expired. Bugsy's coming back. Bugsy's bringing one with him.
The timing was absolutely perfect. He stays alive. Again, we're wondering why you're not taking him down. You need him to find the choice, make the decision. Do I ultimate when my team's not here, or can I stay alive? And he's able to do that. And now Fnatic's right back in it. Fsheko and all the damage dealers are here. Mudu's trying to stay alive on the point, but it's Fsheko with a triple, trying to find a 4th as he gets a little bit of a healing potion as well. He's got Mudu in his sights, and now the Dragon Punch to take down somebody.
Fishy's starting to swim. He's looking around for a target. Phoenix has to back off. Not going to connect there. Just goes to the Rockets. Eats a big burst from Shaolin, though. It doesn't matter. Fnatic up 3-0.
It's all space gain. I mean, especially when he's able to find 3 right on top of the point. Of course, why not go a little bit further out just to keep everybody away to make sure you get that 3rd straight point. And again, you can see he's smiling, laughing right now on camera. He's having a hell of a time.
He's been performing extremely well on whatever they've put him on. Outside of the game 1 when Navi absolutely just steamrolled Fnatic, but beyond that, it's been a good day for Bittner and Fsheko. Talking about the young guns, the young boys, as Jordy calls them, having to perform well. I think they've done well so far, and Fnatic's done a good job at getting them on comfort picks.
This is the interesting thing too, even when they're down a player. Bugsy died earlier on in this engagement, but still the poke is just so strong as Fsheko propels forward and is able to find 1 more onto Phoenix. And now the entire right side of the map is open as Mudu is low, able to take down a 2nd. Creative's out of position now in trouble, and Fsheko sees a target right in front, and it's just constant damage, and all of it hurts so badly.
And he's got his bodyguard out here waiting for him to escort him to glory, to victory, 98%, and using the power siphon the way that Fnatic are allows Fsheko to get these Dragon Punches off from more precarious situations, and I don't know that I love that, because the fight hadn't even really started yet, and now it's just he's just delaying this fight starting at the end.
But at the same point, you want to try to get the dome shield up. You want to try to get a situation where Mudu can get the survivability with Cassie trying to get the ultimate, but still, you saw Time and Space just came out, so it is really strange to see kind of these ultimates come out when there's not a true engagement. It's just further stagger, and now Fnatic is coming back with some ultimates of their own. The Evil Mojo is able to find 1. Phoenix also low. It does trade out 2 for 2 at everything is said and done, though.
Navi are doing a good job just keeping themselves in this round with little picks here, little picks there. And you're right, buying time for the Dome Shield to come up. It's at 96% now. Phoenix has done a decent job at recharging Overpower, and in my experience, I don't know what you've seen, but I feel like it is a very slow charging ultimate. Even with Morale Boost 3, I'm sitting there getting one of these around, like, god damn, come on.
Yeah, it's very, very slow, so the fact he already has it nearly at half of it is definitely good for the potential of defending if they need it. But Creatives is in a good spot here to move on forward to the backline. He will, withdrawing actually to try to find Pip, but so elusive in the weightless is Bittner, and he will survive and now wants to turn back on top of Creatives. The planet though comes out. That's a huge kill for the defense, and now Fsheko in a little bit of trouble as Phoenix is also there with Creatives. A really clutch play there. That little 1v1 could have made the difference in that fight.
Yeah, what a critical moment for the MVP from Worlds. Fsheko, they need to get him out of water quickly. He's picked up a double kill, turns it into a triple quickly thereafter, and I mean, he's really, really started to gain a lot of ground. Drogos, in my opinion, Jaguar Falls is one of his best maps, if not his undisputed best maps, and the way that Fsheko has been able to just abuse what little high ground there is, what little space there is, he is just steamrolling. He gets to that spot, that wheelhouse, where he's just connecting every rocket. It's too close to miss, but just far enough where he's not feeling threatened, and he's just been rolling these fights.
You know, we were talking before the game actually started in with the draft going on, is this the potential of bringing back Mudu and Droxus against Fisheko to put that extra pressure on the flank with him? It just seems like when he's sitting in dark and when he's sitting in the torch room, there's just not a lot of pressure on him. So all that extra poke we were mentioning is 100% free, like he's buying it on Overstock.com.
And there's just not a lot of mobility for Navi. They can't make those dives. They can't do it responsibly. Unbi finds the first pick of this round. Terminus could be coming back here. Bugsy looks like he's just going to hold that L, go back to base for the time being. Fisheko pops his head out for the last time. Bittner stunned into the wall, but does he make it out? No. Creatives drives 3 home in a row to find a critical frag.
But that's what you need to do. Again, it was Terminus and Drogos in the torch room trying to make a move on what is their right side of the map, but it was this time Mudu able to hit a nice impulse to burst everybody down, and that's the kind of situation you need to continue to see out of Mudu. Well, he hasn't really been, I would say, stand out as of yet, but those little plays to come in for his team is what he needs to be finding.
Not on the Cassie. I would definitely agree with you. The Maeve was phenomenal on Frog Isle, but the Cassie's been a little bit quiet so far in these past couple of games. He's starting, but that's honestly, man, there is, outside of Rock Monkey at Vegas, there was not been a Cassie performance in a long time that is so loud, so in your face. Cassie typically tends to go off quietly.
Very much so. It's one of those things that you're one of the big constant DPSs. You don't necessarily find yourself in the kill feed all that often, but when you find the plays that matter, when you get yourself a big impulse that does take down a front line from full to half, that's exactly the play that you need to see. And if you can convert on it, even better. Navi now looking with a little bit of momentum as Mudu just cleaned up the back line a little bit. Now trying to move on the left-hand side from them perspectively as Phoenix is over here. And this is trouble. This is all danger area to be pushed off into the 6th element.
Who's getting tossed? That's really the question here. Overpower is ready to go for Phoenix, but he is not in the best spot. He has to use Commander's Grab just to get out of dodge. And he's a slow-moving beast. It's a long cooldown. He's got no cards to supplement that movement. He's all in on the Commander's shot, which I will say I haven't seen a lot of coordinated anti-CC plays out of him yet.
He's still new. I think that's the big thing is, you know, he's not new, but it's still fresh in the competitive side of things, and a lot of teams are still trying to find a way to best utilize him. Garrett just barely able to slither out of the way of what was a planted from Navi and will keep himself alive, but needs to refocus onto Bugsy, who has again fallen. It really comes down to will the reanimate come. It's not in a great spot to do it, but the payload's moving forward, and can anyone stop this?
I don't think Fnatic really want to at this point. They don't want to invest anything, cut your losses. But what hurts so bad about that is what losses, because Navi didn't spend anything.
Exactly.
They have everything available going in, and just like that, it's a 3-3. Just like that, despite the start from Fnatic, what looked like another easy win has turned into a dead-even team fight, one that will decide the fate of Jag Falls.
I think the big thing when we come back in and potentially see the items is now that they had a chance to get the blast shields out of the way, where's the Cauterize now? And you can see it. There was another pickup from Shaolin. Creatives has got it at level 3 late. Unbelievable has it at a suitable spot at level 2. Phoenix also at level 3, and now even Spunky can find a way to not only sit on Chronos 3 to keep those heals up, but he's also helping out. So that Cauterize might be the real true tell of why this is starting to come back in Navi's favor.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The late Caut 3, it's like, why even buy the Blast 1 and the Rejuve 2?
Right?
Yeah, I think the bigger impact is going to be that Caut 3 for sure there. Creatives hit some critical arrows here. He's got his Heat Haze. Like we said, everything available for everyone. It's coming down to Value Town. Who's going to pay their visit first?
And look how disjointed Navi is. They're completely pushed around, but they're able to come back. Ooh, third time in space. Nearly connects on Bittner, but is it going to make a difference? He is one of the last players left, and Navi able to stay on the point while all of that flank was happening and be kind of a sponge, soaking it up.
And you know what? This is exactly how they communicated to me. The only way to counterplay Con-ult, get in his face, force him to use it early, reset, come back. It's the only thing you can do. They do that successfully, 51% for Navi, but Fnatic are going to be in a little bit of a frantic spot. Nice body block there, but I don't know if Terminus is the boy you want to be body blocking.
That's not exactly who you want to be going up against. Fisheko with the fight one, but Creative's in the back
line.
He's got Bittner up front. One more shot will do. Mudo will come back and find it. Now Bugsy needs to force himself to use the reanimate near the end of the channel if he wants to contest, but it might not even be in time. He's going to be the last player left, and I don't think he's going to stand up to this.
Nothing comes out of Terminus from that reanimate, but he's forced to do it. Navi, they bring it back. They're going to take Jag Falls. They're smiling, they're clapping. Now they're feeling good, and that's pretty scary, the fact that they have shown they can take a hard loss. But maybe, you know, you talk about when you do get blown out, it's maybe not super hard to deal with mentally here, and we knew this was going to be a long set. We knew this was going to be a real back and forth between these two juggernauts.
Yeah, that mini comeback inside the game was exactly what Navi needed. Fnatic kept the same momentum from the game 2 into game 3, looked cool, looked collected still, and then all of a sudden, you know, it's 3-1, and then it's 3-2, then it's 3-3, and all of a sudden you lost the map. Those are the things that I would think as a player really eats at your mind when you're sitting there looking at what's going on between you and your opponent.
Yeah, well, it was a stout comeback from Natus Vincere here on Jaguar Falls. Let's send it back to the desk to break it down.
We're here for the long haul, folks. That was a 4-3 victory for Navi, despite Fnatic getting the first 3 points.
Fnatic looked fantastic throughout the beginning of that set. The problem was they didn't draft enough of an opportunity. I will say it that way. The opportunity was in the hands of Navi. The better lineup from a just cohesiveness part was with the two Stagala and the Pip and the Maldamba. The healing was outrageous. The Drogos, so much area coverage. They had that point on lock. But the issue was Navi had Cassie. Navi had Shaolin. Navi had two of the best DPS on two of the best playmakers, and Creative showed up. He showed why you don't let that go on a map like this.
And this is a pick we've seen him on time and time again throughout the PWC. And just these moments where he was hitting so hard, getting double kill here, double kill there, nice cleanup.
It's crazy. It's a damage champion here. I'll burst him down. Find a kill there. Turn around. 1,000 damage into the tank. Turn around. Impale a Pip. He's out of the fight for half a second, but he's also now dead because I finished him off with Planet. Drogos has pressure. Now back to the front line. There are not a lot of champions that can do it like that. You know what I mean? Not a lot. There are a few, and that's why they're so valued in these drafts. And that's why giving both to Navi was like, I just hope neither of them have a crazy game, and unfortunately Creatives did.
And you asked that question on the opposite side, but at the same time, we've seen it. We've seen those crazy games from that. So you're putting hope in something that's actually not very likely unless you have this crushing aspect onto them, but they did for the first part of the game. And Nara pretty much unkillable right there in the beginning when you have two healers on her, and they were just steamrolling with the Drogos. Lots of great play from Visheko. But then as soon as that moment arrived for Navi, it was unstoppable.
It's also hard when your carry is slightly countered by their carries as well. Visheko kind of had to outplay Cassie and Shaolin because realistically, it's always pretty easy for Shaolin or Cassie to find Drogos in the air with just a little bit of damage. And so Visheko really was playing out of his mind. He was happy, had the knee up, smiling, giggling. They mentioned it on cast, but it was so hard to maintain, and it was just so easy for Cassie and Shaolin, in my opinion, to do what they just did there.
Yeah, because that's the thing about those two champions in particular is, yes, you have the actual arrows and you have to hit with that projectile, but it's so fast
Are
and everything
they really
that
projectiles?
doesn't really feel like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the, okay, kind of.
Projectiles.
By definition.
Exactly.
But having two of those available to just, where is he in the sky? Okay, there we go, out of it.
At this point, Fnatic, I think, have to be a little worried. Not just because, you know, they have gone and won and now just lost, because they've been trading wins, so that's not too bad. But I think Fnatic did the double tank when they had an opportunity to triple DPS again, and they lost again in that situation. So some pattern is showing up for me where Fnatic maybe not trusting themselves, not trusting what Navi might do, going to this double tank and then being outgunned late game once cauterized and those things start to come up and just not being able to win their 1v1s. I hope to see that them just kind of stick to the single tank. That's what's really been working for them.
That's always the difficult thing about a game that goes the way that game number 3 did, is because things were going so well with that composition and it was working, but they just couldn't close out in the last moment before all of those different itemizations and everything came online. And that's the key.
You're right. That was completely important. Let's also Finally, Fnatic ban a Cassie, and it says something to me that they ban it first. They say, okay, we've literally let Cassie go 3 games in a row.
Fine.
We are not going to let her go again. She's just a variable that's just does what she does too easy. Constant damage, easy anti-heal, easy burst application that's readily available, decent mobility, great vision for team fights late game and mid game as well. And Navi respond with the Maeve and the Makoa ban. So this is much more of what I would have expected earlier on. Fnatic can offer a Shaolin here, or they're going to go for the Inara.
A little inverted in the order that they did carry out those bans, but Inara first lock-in for Fnatic, and Theo obviously able to navigate on that champion really well, so maybe they are going to go with some of the same similar strategies.
Navi did a great job, I think, of drafting Khan last as well. People underestimate Khan right now, and it's just because, like Alan said, he's new. He's not new, but he's new. And he's fresh, and he's still developing his identity. But you looked at that lineup they had last time. You know, you had Seismic Crash, you had Dragon Punch, you had Evil Mojo, you had things like Reanimate from Terminus, you had Dread Serpents from Aldaba, all mitigatable by Khan's Q ability. And so that is something that I don't think Fnatic were aware of. Drafting very carefully now. Terminus and Shaolin locked in for Navi, most likely for the creatives.
Well, and I don't know how much their mindset has changed around Khan, but I know during Las Vegas they said to Gormizer that they weren't worried about it, that he was a non-factor to them, I believe is what it was. But they've been scrimming against Navi all the time. Navi said in their interview that you might see some things in the draft that seem a little iffy, but to them it's not because they know the opponent team so well.
Totally. And I think the Barrack is like, I think Khan's a little bit better than Barrack right now, and I think Khan is kind of Torvaldy. Before Torvald was so aware, we're so aware of how good he is. He's just like, he does a lot of things, but you're not really aware of them. That battle shout is a lot more annoying than you really think, but it doesn't have a lot of easy, pointable moments that you say, oh, that battle shout won that fight at that situation. It just keeps helping and sometimes turning the tide in your favor.
It was kind of just, here are the ways that I'm using these abilities that are actually really effective, but to somebody who's not as familiar with this, not going to like notice great use of Bulwark and just some great angles that he was taking and actually shielding for the rest of the team and everything. So that battle shout and all of the times that he would go ahead and grasp just seemed to work really well with the team.
Now this is where Navi have always kind of taken their secondary tank. Their cards are on the table. Fnatic have the chance to go a single front line with Theo, which has worked for them. That's how they won their only game, as Navi is leading 2-1. Or they can try and go for a triple DPS. The Drogo's notably still available, although they have the Shaolin taken by Navi. And if, you know, Creatives has a similar type of performance, Fisheko could be in trouble if he opts for the Dragon.
And then I also see a world where Fnatic, they have to be aware of that Shaolin potential, and they're bringing in the Bomb King. I really like that pick.
I think it's just more comfortable for him at this point, especially against the Shaolin. He's really good at bodying, you know, going into those 1v1s. He's got area control, which Drogoz doesn't have unless he's able to peek, and Shaolin really shuts down a lot of that peeking. Meanwhile, you know, you're going to have the Pip to round out a lot of the AoE pressure. He's a great player right now for his Bittner. He showed that he could utilize it well, and this will most likely be, I think, a Catalyst Pip, even though the Mega Potion could work too with the Inara.
I think that the Pip play that came out Bittner in the past and the last game was really actually super prime, and if they can capitalize upon that and the things that were going well with them previously, then maybe they can turn it into a victory here. So is Navi going to pull ahead even more in the set, or is Fnatic going to tie it up? Let's find out what happens.
Headed into game number 4 here. Fnatic back to form a little bit, back on 3 DPS, back on 3 guys that can really get at your throat quickly.
However, this roster on this map from Navi brings me back to Fall, when they came back out of the Fall finals into the qualifiers and played Terminus at a whole nother level. This is going to be a scary situation because you're going to get flanked Nando, but you're also going to be getting a very aggressive Terminus. I don't see Navi huddling up at the point at any point in time with this combination of frontliners.
Hopefully Fnatic have the mobility to be able to absorb that blow and I think operate around it appropriately. Stonekeep was over very quickly earlier today when G2 were able to get their hands on it. And with another fast composition, if Fnatic can put away Ascension Peak in less than 10 minutes, I think they could potentially do it here on Stonekeep as well.
A lot of high ground pressure from the damage dealing combination of Fisheko and Bittner as well. That's the big key. It's a lot of burst damage from above, which is going to be really difficult. I think Mudo's going to have to be the person to lock into that, and hopefully Creatives can find an angle to try to deal with it as well.
Moxie 5.
Interesting.
I call that the Diggy Dog. Diggy Dog was the first one I saw actually run this. The one time I did see him play Pip in the PGS. It's so good for just that brawling, and Bittner needing to look after himself, heal himself more often than not, I think, when he goes on these very aggressive dives.
Yeah, look at this early poke coming out. Drogoz with no room to maneuver whatsoever, and actually puts a really bad situation. But Mudo coming back, actually, with a shot onto a big target that's on Gara. So now Fisheko needs to be careful of how he positions himself. Although this high ground is being controlled by Navi, Fnatic's not letting it go for free.
Theo's barely hanging on by a thread. Bittner will get the kill on the Phoenix, but Theo's going to fall for it. Impaled mid-air. He gets the 1800 heal. That's as a thanks to Moxie. Natus and Vincere with an 42% lead on the objective as well. Fisheko barely stays alive.
He's not able to get a whole lot done in that first fight.
Yeah, but getting aggressive this way, using the Pocket Bomb to move right on forward in the high ground of this keep area. 1 HP was Creative's able to get taken down finally by Bugsy, but Fnatic trying to keep themselves on the point as well. It's 60% for Navi, and finally the team in blue starts to come forward.
And it's just the mobility. Fnatic have done a great job absorbing the aggression from Natus and Vincere, turning it on its head, whether it was Terminus, whether it was Fernando, whether it was Meltdown, but they all fall one by one, and now Fisheko's able to push up here on the left-hand side. Take some more zoning potential here. Dismount unbelievable, 60%. That was a big lead, but Fnatic have quickly evened it up.
Bugsy's going to be holding down the right-hand side. Again, Mutu does not have the angles that he wants to get some damage onto point. Finally, Unbelievable is going to commit, but it's already 87% and still counting. Can Unbelievable even get here in time? It's going to be close. Wonderful. Void Grip keeps him off. First point for Navi and a little bit of punishment afterwards as the Evil Mojo helps take down Unbelievable.
Insult to injury. Look at the movement. Some of these pit players are just insane. The things they're able to wall bounce off of and double jump to get back to the high ground here. He's a blaster.
Oh!
Bindner locked in. Jedi mind tricks. Not for you, Creatives. He hits the spray. He hits the dance because he's feeling good after he just gets Creatives ultimate for nothing.
Feeling good, feeling great. Feeling great, feeling good. How are you, Bugsy? Coming in hard with this, again, really aggressive style. But this is the thing that Bugsy does, I think, more than more other players that plays in. He likes to play it up in front, making sure he can get his counter in and then backing up. Although Navi's able to find a couple of kills onto some of his teammates, so he will have to whirl away. And this is going to be interesting to see how Fnatic resets. Do they go for the left-handed high ground, or do they try to push through Church? The decision-making is going to be really interesting to see.
Definitely. Got some options here. They've got a lot of ultimates to work with, a lot of ways to spearhead this engagement. Mutu, haven't seen him play the Drogos in a long, long time. But once upon a time. It's not never before seen, but it has been a long minute. He is going to not connect with that Fire Spit. Force Fisheko back off the high ground here. And without even getting kills, Fnatic are slowly starting to gain map control.
And a lot of that is coming off the Inara, who just pushed right past the payload and said, all right, Terminus, you're going to take a fight with me, and I'm going to choose the grounds which we do it. While Fisheko comes to the high ground on the right, able to take down Phoenix, and Bittner's here as well. And now finally, Thiel's able to stand on top of the cart and ride that little tank forward. Spunky needs to back up, and will just barely, but a couple of parting gifts from Bittner's potion launcher will help keep him into the base. And now 50 seconds, about halfway through the payload journey as well.
A lot of ultimates starting to come up as well. Natus Vincere with almost everything to work with. The big planet stun is not enough because Thiel gets his big body in front of Bittner to save a life. 40 seconds left here. Creative starting to get poked out a little bit. He's got to watch his step. Floating right at around 1,000 HP is not where you want to be when there's a Luminary Catalyst Pip on the other side.
Definitely not. This left-hand side or right-hand side now, as you look at it from Fnatic's perspective, this upper ramparts area is so crucial for this last push. You saw Phoenix was gaining space just so Mutu had somewhere to set up, and now with the Dragon Punch coming out, who's he going to go for? That's interesting. He didn't decide to go for anyone. He had Bittner pretty close by, so he will retain a third of the charge, but still, it seemed like a missed opportunity.
I like that he called it off early enough to not lose his life, but Fishy finds a long-distance frag. Fishy finds himself a double kill. Terminus is going to come back to try and even the score. Up over the top. Mutu will die again, and just the map presence isn't there for Mutu at the moment.
And Fisheko has all of these frontliners low in front of him. Royal subjects hitting like a truck. And once again, he's able to help convert down 2 kills. Bugsy's trying to move forward. The Heat Haze is in effect. But why not just snipe him out while he's going through the mid-stealth? Mutu's going to have to find a way to get some damage done, but who's going to touch the point? The payload's still moving as we're in overtime.
And now it's just a couple more inches to go. Polymorph ready. As soon as Phoenix drops down, I think it's coming out here. Bittner waiting in the wings, has his ultimate available here. Will they even need it? Fnatic are maintaining dominance in this fight without their big resources.
Navi needs to find a way to not only contest, but to try to put Gera into a bad spot. They're not able to do it, and again, you take a look at how important those ramparts were in the top side. Bittner was able to use it successfully. Bomb King was able to use it successfully, and that's the big key is if you can get, that shot was insane. If you can establish yourself while on offense, up on the high ground, it's so difficult as a defender to decide to go and actually put a body on the payload because you're getting hit from every angle.
Just not seeing an impact from Mutu on the Drogos. Like we said, not never before seen, but it has been a long, long time. When you're watching Fisheko here get these impactful kills, watching Mutu then, you know, the Dragon Punch didn't connect. He comes up over the top, gets nothing done, just gets obliterated mid-air. That's a big blunder down the stretch. Natus and Vincere need him to hold, just maybe play back and just use Drogos' natural kit to poke, to hold objectives, to hold corners without needing to put yourself in a precarious situation.
Especially here as they move towards the key. Mojo coming out will take down Phoenix, so the Fernando's off the table. Terminus is right in front of late through time and space, won't find anything, but Fish Echo's still healthy, still throwing out bombs left and right. Meanwhile, Gara's on the point now, able to get it up to above 10%, but Unbelievable helps find 2.
Royal Subjects here could be big. Mutu floats in and just catches Fish Echo in a nice explosion of fiery death. Here comes the spike, but Phoenix able to read him like a book. Plenty of time to react. Hits the Immortal. I will say, a worthwhile trade because Bugsy retains 30%.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And then
on a meh ultimate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just it's a zoning ultimate. He draws the line in the sand. Although Phoenix is actually able to finally get the trade on Bugsy, so all of this zoning from Fernando has done its job. While Bittner was trying to touch, it just kept completely Fnatic out of sorts. So now Navi with a chance with that capture boost coming through. Now trying to move back and tie this one up 2-2.
Yeah, very awkward engagement for Fnatic there for sure. Unable to get anything going, and they didn't have that clean reset either. Nothing going their way this time around. 2-10 for Navi to even up the scoreline there. A rough thrust again to the back line. Bugsy will distract at a bare minimum, but cooldown starting to come up for Creatives. He connects 1, connects 2, but it's a whirl from Bugsy. That'll find the frag, and a quick 2-tap from the 2-time Spunky on Maldamba. Cleans up one of his oldest rivals.
Unbelievable, though, of course, left out of position at that point due to that space that Bugsy just provided with his life. So that payload will stall out and actually retreat its way back a little bit. The Royal Subjects explosion radius able to find the last bit of health on Mutu. And now moving forward, can they find a frontliner here as well? That would be huge. This church area very big. Dreads are going to be used in the engagement, but it's not going to find much.
And now Creatives is the deepest member of Natus and Vincere, but up over the top. Royal Subjects, by the way, as Fish Echo finds another one. Around the corner, doesn't matter. Back again, over the river and through the woods. He finally finds himself brought down. Another healing potion comes in from Bittner, and look who's trying to sneak through and find himself a pick. But as the rest of his team's already fallen, Mutu with not his proudest moment.
The fadeaway salvo.
Yeah. Tell my story. My people need me.
Exactly. 54 seconds left, though, and we've got a pretty interesting little dead man zone occurring right in this church area. Long-range heal from Pip will hit, and this is interesting. Coming back to the fountain side is unbelievable, while you can see Mutu coloring outside the lines, trying to move from the outside of the map coming in. He's not going to surprise anybody, though. Now Bittner in a little bit of trouble.
Look at that wall from Theo, giving his teammates the peel. It's a big cooldown to blow for sure. Sheko misses a critical one, but forces Creatives back into the jaws of Bittner. Fishy won't miss when it comes to Mutu, has to hit the quick reload. And it's just this 1-2 punch. Fishy pushing people into Bittner, Bittner pushing people into Fishy. It's such a deadly dynamic duo. The blasters here between Catalyst Pip and Royal Subjects Bomb King. There is always damage being applied to Navi.
Yeah, and I think that when you take a look at the front line helping gain space, specifically for Navi, Fernando and Terminus have both had their fair share of I'm going to push forward with my damage dealers to help them get that secure damage in. It's been really monumental in their early aggression on the point, but here in this payload push, it's looked a little bit disjointed at times.
Now Creatives has a good angle to just fire away on Theo, but Theo's so tanky, getting pocket healed, has his Earthen Guard. Bugsy's looking out for Navi's healer, though. He takes down Spunky immediately. Bittner finds the frontliner. Bugsy dies dramatically in the back line, but it's after Fnatic have got what they came for. They get a defense without spending very much, and it is going to net them a defensive point, putting them up 3-1, putting them into a situation to even up the set this round.
That whole payload push just seemed like there wasn't a clear go call at any particular time. Very strange.
Yeah, the whole round, even looking at the point fight, Fnatic is just more broken than they ever have been since that Frog Isle game. You mentioned how disjointed they were. A very strange fight being taken, but shakes that one off appropriately. I think Fnatic back in the driver's seat here. 15-4 for Bugsy. I mean, flying under the radar. This is kind of like what I wanted to talk about when Bodies was popping off. He was like 6-0, and Bugsy is 15-4, but he's like mid to like low on the damage charts because that's just the way these flankers operate typically. That's why that performance from Bodies was so standout earlier.
It's capital punishment damage at the end of the day. And now with King Bomb being channeled from the high platform, looking for somebody. Oh my goodness! Why not take down Munu in the middle of Dragon Punch? He's able to help find most of Spunky's HP as well. So now back onto point comes Fnatic. They've got themselves 15%, but unbelievable. Still alive, and a small pause there, but what a trigger that was from Fisheko to hit the Poppy Bomb around on top of the platform, King Bomb in the face. No one saw it coming.
And he had to wait. He had to wait out the Immortal as well. That had just come through from Fnatic. It expires at the perfect. That was like split-second expiration there. Just enough damage too as well. And to know that matchup, to know which ultimate connects first, the King Bomb or the Dragon Punch. We've seen that go the way of even Makoas can slap some dragons out of the air with the Ancient Rage. Some really cool interactions there. But having just enough damage as well, 2,500 damage. Dragos only has 2,400 HP. And I think we're going to get to watch it as well. So look, here's the patience, right? So the Immortal's burning for Phoenix at the moment. Fishy waits it out right as it expires. He runs straight in, 2490 to Mutu's face.
Flexing on him a little bit. The King showing no love.
That hurts, man. That one hurts to watch. And then he gets the stun onto Spunky, follows that kill up, drops down. He has Phoenix in his face, but a beautiful, I would say Thiel's Peel has been really 200 IQ this game, whether it's like a wall to block some follow-up from Shaolin, whether it's a stun to bring down Fernando's shield so Fishy can get his third kill of that engagement. Thiel's been on point.
It's been really interesting to watch Fnatic, I think in specific, run this solo Inara, because it's been 6 months in the making of them running a solo frontline when everyone else was running double. And at first it was like, man, Thiel wants, you could see he wants to do something and the rest of the team is just not quite there. That coordination is on another level throughout this entire spring split, and it's showcased specifically here for that reason.
I think that's what makes Steel so special, is because it takes a certain type of person to want to play frontline and to want to be that guy where it's not always about you. It's very rarely about you, in fact. The spotlight is almost always on the DPS players, and even as a frontline, if you do everything right, if your boys choke, then everyone loses.
Exactly.
So it's a tough shoe to fill, but I think Thiel has done a beautiful job on it.
Not the sexiest position, I
guess
we'd
not
say.
at all.
Bugsy's going to be controlling the church. He's going to spite up a very free Phoenix, and this is really interesting because you can see the damage is on both sides, one on the left, one on the right, and they're actually finding a nice crossfire onto the point, although Creatives is going to change things up as he comes back through and takes some superiority in that keep side, looking for some damage on the point, but it is 87% for Fnatic. The room to breathe is not very much for Navi at this point.
Running out of steam as well. He has his ability to get himself back out. Pretty much a stalemate on the objective. Critical miss there from Creatives. That would have been a massive pick. 13 streak burning. Bugsy not quite bailed out. Phoenix takes him down, but look at this, 81% on the polymorph. Unbelievable sitting on reanimate. There's still so much left to unfold in this fight.
And the movement from Bittner able to move on through. Now has Mutu right in front, but Mutu finds himself 3. Can he find the 4th? Thiel is low. Unbelievable will take it down, and just like that, Navi, who had very little wiggle room whatsoever on this point, has come back from 87 to 16%. Now they get to work their way through overtime. They get themselves their second capture in a row. We're looking at a 3-2 score.
Ye old comeback mechanic, doing a lot for Natus Vincere there, and this is exactly how Jaguar Falls fell apart. Remember, Navi, if they get an easy conversion here without having to spend ultimates, they'll be in the exact same scenario. I think if they go down 3-1 in this series in that same fashion, I think it's over.
Yeah, it'd be a very, very difficult obstacle to overcome. But before we get there, we still have to figure out how this payload's going to move. And again, this was a very awkward moment for Navi. They didn't really commit to any area, but now you can see, look at this, Phoenix and Mutu both trying to take the high ground together. They find Bittner, which is huge. Immortal is used, but it's absolutely worth it as Thiel goes down. So now the front line is the advantage spot for the side of Navi. Fnatic also getting chewed apart from left and right, although finally Phoenix and Mutu on the high ground do get taken down by the combination of Bugsy. And it's going to be, it looks like Fisheko up there as well.
Yet another full stop, though, for Natus Vincere. They spent some ultimates, a big one there, the Immortal. Here comes the Dread Serpent as well, but it's not enough to keep Creatives alive. And this is, you know, these are okay because it's mid-round. You're going to be able to charge these ultimates up again, but you want to get something off of this mid-round spend.
Yeah, that minute 30 to minute is where you like to see those mid-pushes start to happen, to where you can make the decision of that late push. Do we go for further ults in this economy, or do we hold everything and just hope for the next point? That time through, when you find yourself using 2 ultimates for really not much ground gain whatsoever, the decision-making becomes a little bit easier. Though now you can see Navi, because again, Phoenix is just pushing forward, putting the team on his back and saying, let's just go in. They're able to break the opening of the base.
Jumping Fire Spits in, looking for that first pick. Navi will find it. Thiel goes down. Fire Spit salvo combination is good. Mutu almost blows himself off the map, though. He gets Void gripped up, and that damage is actually enough. Gera gets taken down from distance. Bittner will as well. Things looking like they're falling apart for Fnatic once again.
Yeah, and if Creatives had more health, you would have liked to see him pop the Heat Haze there potentially for that conversion, but now it's just down to the front lines. Can Thiel stay alive long enough for his team to get here? It does not look like so, and Gera was close to potentially touch, but it won't happen. So now, as you mentioned, we're back to an even game.
Exact same scenario too. Navi spend nothing for it. They have every ultimate except Immortal, which is sitting at 97%. The world champs ready to run this one back. Mutu, I mean, looking and feeling about as emotionally stable as ever. Not much to draw from here, but that's value, you know? Consistent, at least. I don't think he ever tilts.
Never. At least he doesn't show it.
He gives you an oh no and then moves on.
I don't want to play him in poker. His poker face is probably incredible.
Even if he has no idea how to play poker.
I believe you.
And I mean, look at these slash lines for Navi. They're getting it done. They're so negative. Creatives is 6-12, 8-12 for Phoenix. Ugly, ugly slash lines. But 3-3 we sit nonetheless. Here comes the polymorph. Oh, frags just yet. Creative shuts down Bugsy's flank.
Wow, the attention to detail there, saying where's the Xin going to be coming from? Able to find him and take him down quickly. Mutu trying to also convert. It'll find a good target. That's on Bittner. And now back. Fish Echo also low. Can he find the long distance shot? Not going to make a difference. The retreat's in effect, and the capture point is going up for Navi.
And normally you say that's okay, but Navi didn't even spend everything. And one of their biggest, arguably, ultimates still on the table. Yep. Reanimate and Fnatic are just about gassed. They have Guillotine, which is going to help. It's going to be used to take down Phoenix initially, and that's a great way to spearhead this takeback.
You need to find a way to take down Thiel if you're Navi at this point in time, but he's just so survivable in this 1v1. Although I say that, and his health is getting chunked through, and unbelievable actually the one staying alive. So they take down Thiel. Navi might just do it. The reanimate is getting circled up. Will they even need to use it at this point? Looks like it will come up late. Will it find any kills? Not going to happen. Spunky's still alive. Fish Echo in the backline will be taken down as well. So what can Fnatic throw at this to keep this overtime in effect?
Bittner takes down the support. They're going to get the touch here. Theo just barely makes it back. 85%. Ultimates are starting to come back up for Fnatic now. 87% on a big, important ultimate. Gera is going to fall to Mutu here. These shots need to be good from Bittner, and they will be.
Good, and you need to stay on the high ground if you're Bittner at this point in time, and he will. This is exactly where he needs to be. Look, while Bugsy is actually zoning everything away. He does have another spite if he wants to use it, and he will! He goes right into Phoenix, but he's not able to take him down. Good help from Creatives to find the damage. 81% to 99. Fnatic possibly push this through if they can keep the zone alive.
That might be a fatal mistake there from Bugsy. Here's the polymorph. Fish Echo catches out. Unbelievable. No one's killed from the evil mojo. That's big. Heat Haze available from Creatives, but he goes down. Fish Echo with 3. Fish Echo looking for his 4th. He's going to get the King Bomb ultimate off, but it's not enough to take down Phoenix just yet. Phoenix brings 2 with him. The Slither is bad from Spunky. He's unable to stay alive. Fnatic, they reset the overtime for the final time, and Fnatic even up the score on Stone Keep.
The biggest of Void Grips. If Void Grip is on cooldown right there, that overtime is the thickest Void Grip to ever happen. 3 Ds and 4 Gs on the end of that Void Grip.
And I mean, you gotta say, you hope that goes Fnatic's way. They had the sexy slash lines there. Bugsy was like 15-4 at one point. We didn't get to check back in. But when you've got Creatives at 6-12, the fact that Navi almost won that game, I think, speaks volumes for their resilience.
Absolutely huge. And again, it comes down to that battle up front. You know, there are so many clutch moments where Phoenix barely stays alive, able to just survive long enough to keep his team back in. So that way, if your damage dealer isn't doing so great, at least you have the time gained to find some damage numbers.
These Juggernauts continuing to throw haymakers, trading out map for map. We're all tied up through 4 games. Gabby, Evan, take it away.
Jeez Louise. We said it earlier that we'd probably be in for a longer set, and here we are.
Well, it's best of 3 now, so we got that going for us. Spunky and Navi stood up with clarity, and, it reminded me of that moment at Vegas where MV stands up, and then Navi's like, wait, we're playing? Wait, no, it's a best of 5. It's not a best of 2. I feel like they got up like, all right, we won. First person to tie it back up at 2. It's like, really? Who's giving you guys these rules? That's not real. But great game by them overall.
All kind of mixing over on that side. But I think
they're going for the handshakes like we won. Wait, what? Admins.
We're just friendly.
No,
we just want to, all be around and keep things going all the time. But here it's as long as can possibly be best of 7. And with the play that actually happened for Fnatic. It was very important for them to win that and not have the same exact situation happen where they get the first 3 points and then get rolled back. And Fsheko actually had a big role in that one.
He certainly did. Fsheko hit a ton of big plays, especially towards the end of that round as well. But his Bomb King looked fantastic, and that's what I like about it. You know, the Drogo's a little bit more susceptible to a Shaolin, but a Bomb King can trade out. He's got the health, he's got the damage, he's got the control, the CC in his kit to match the Shaolin, and I love that he chose that, and he played aggressive. He was jumping into fights. He was seeking out engagements and saying, you are not going to get away. I'm coming after you, whether it be Dragon Booty, you know, whether it be, Vulpine Booty, whatever it is that was on his team, but what is it, Snake Booty, I'm coming for it. It's mine.
There were moments where the thought of, oh, if anyone else went in like that, then people would be like, what are you doing? That's so dumb. You just put yourself so vulnerable. But he knew he could do it. He said, I can get this aggressive. And, you know, his picture that they use, you know what it reminds me of? That, you know, the thing that's the girl that takes a picture before and after calling people beautiful. I feel like that looks like after, like someone's like, Fishy, you cute dog, you. And he's like,
what can I say? And I mean, Fsheko did a great job. I thought it was good picking again. Fnatic win when they go triple DPS. So that's something to pay attention to, and we'll see if they continue that heading into Game 5. The other thing that was great, and I noticed there was some flawless movement from his Bittner, and that movement is a good sign to say that somebody has actually played a champion for a long time. Whenever movement is just efficient, that's what is always kind of the difference. How many steps does it take to do the same thing? How much motion do you have to go through to actually be efficient? He was clearly a very good pit player, spends a lot of time on his own. He's not known for that, but he is very, very consistent.
And he is also someone that was not afraid to get aggressive with his positioning during the first part of round when everyone usually clashes in that side well area, and he would go right into the middle of some players, know exactly where Weightless would take him to the opposite end, find safety, and then just throw some far hits.
And it was the willingness here. You see he spots creatives, and, you know, unluckily for Shaolin, there's a lot of cues as to where and when he's going. You can actually now see him in reveals, so he might have caught that brief moment and understood where he wanted to go. But again, it's just masterclass pit play. I mean, hitting things like the shot before that little tree and then landing on the ledge and then continuing it with the pressure. Those are the things where a player like an average pit would have to just wait till they pass the tree, then land, then shoot. He's making so much out of not a lot, really, that's being given to him. And that's one of the big keys for Fnatic and why they're able to tie this set up.
And just even, oh, there's an Inara wall. I'm going to use that as my stepping stone.
He jumped on the wall. That was amazing.
Yeah, just to get to the other side and then turned around and re-angled to dish out more damage and heals and everything.
He 180 shot creatives on the steps leading up, and creative shot him back midair. So it just shows you the caliber of mechanical prowess that is in this set right now. That's why it's so close. These guys are, I mean, everyone's firing all cylinders. I really think the draft is just separating these teams.
So if you're taking a look at Navi now, who they did come very close in that game but weren't able to clench it.
Certainly.
Do you think there are any changes they need to make?
You know, I really like what Navi brought to the table. I thought their draft looked good. I thought that, you know, Phoenix on Fernando is something that we're still getting used to. Normally we see that go on Unbelievable. Normally we see Unbelievable not on the Terminus, and those two swapped out. But I liked it. I think Mutu's Drogo's kind of picked up some speed. It was not as impressive as we've seen like Evil Eyes earlier today, as Fsheko's as we've seen earlier today, but it worked. It just wasn't that impressive in my eyes in order to turn the tide. And again, I think you did everything you could. You got it to a 3-3. Just Fnatic ended up being better at that point.
And Drogo's isn't what I normally think of when I think of Mutu.
No.
Sure. So just if you're looking for that kind of crazy play to come out of Mutu, then you're expecting something else. Put him on a flank or whatever it may be. This is what they needed for the composition.
Definitely.
But you sacrifice a little.
Well, that's the second time we've actually seen you know, kind of like this Terminus and the Strogos together in these fights, and it's actually creating a good kind of a lack of pressure for the Terminus once he's able to reanimate, knowing he's not going to get Dragon Punched immediately. But it also is hurting when you're allowing counters like Cassie and Shaolin to be drafted all the time. They're not banning out these characters. They're letting them get on the board, and that inherently just devalues Drogos. Exactly what Alan said. The second Drogos becomes a hot topic, it's only going to stay a hot topic until people realize other champions can deal with him if they're being played.
Speaking of Drogos, the Dragon Punch and the King Bomb just going and obliterating punishing him before he could get it off.
It was an atomic collision, you know, and one of those beautiful moments in Paladins, cinematic to say the least. But you also look at, I think, Spunky having some great plays on that Maldamba. I mean, that moment that he dodged I forget what it was, but he dodged something, fell down the steps, and through the Dread Serpent. It was a through time and space. He dropped down through the Dread Serpent and then followed up on that. That was a huge play. I thought actually Navi won it off of that.
And it was such a very specific Dread Serpent spot that you've seen before, but it's kind of, you got to make sure you hit it at the right time so people don't just back off into that corridor. So following up immediately on the through time and space and everything, ensuring that there are some clustered in that area was just phenomenal.
Yeah, it was great play by them. I think Navi, the only thing that really, like I said, separating these teams is kind of who gets the better end of maybe a specific moment. If the draft continues to be where they're letting all these wild animals out, where your Cassies and Shalins and Drogos and Maven, it's kind of just like who beats each other the best, who has the most impressive performance. You're going to be looking at Fish Echo and Creatives, or you're going to be looking at Mutu, and you're going to be trying to figure out, can Bugsy have a great performance as well? Those are the two things that are going to determine who wins this game. It's really being decided by which DPS player outperforms the rest.
And it's super hard when you look back at the game where it just went to the last point and you think, we had some great moments. They had some great moments. It came down to 99 versus 99 on the objective. A Terminus getting gripped up right there at the last moment to ensure when overtime goes that quickly. And it just kind of puts you in this place of, oh, we're right on the cusp. What do we need to go ahead and make sure that we're the ones standing strong at the end?
Fnatic doing a great job, I think, of being aware of themselves a little bit more than I've noticed them doing. Changing their drafts. Navi as well, kind of sticking to their double tank style. It's worked for them. I think heading into this, though, both teams now with 3 games left potentially are getting into crunch time. This is where we start to see big decision makers, big players start to have an impact. This is where names start to get made. Who shows up? Who gets the screaming highlight? Who gets the Twitter clip? Because that's where we're in it. It's down to the 4th quarter. It's down to the last inning. I really want to see these teams draft, again, towards their strength. Go all out. Don't try to just do something weird to counter what you think might be a strategy.
And I'm curious to know exactly what map they're going to go to for Game 5, because in this set, bringing out Ascension Peak in game number 2 early, that already shows kind of a different approach to the situation.
Definitely.
And Splitstone Quarry is our next destination.
This is a sniper-heavy map. I think we've seen snipers consistently banned out in the 2 maps prior, where Navi and Fnatic both split Frog Isle and Ascension Peak. They have not wanted to play against snipers, and that tells me that they're not really confident with what's left on the board to deal with it, or they just feel that that's too much of a swing vote, so to speak. When a sniper gets going, that's too hard to stop. When a Cassie gets going, we can compete, we feel comfortable, but when Canessa and we don't have a proper flank to get there, and with how good everyone else on that team is, that's just something that we feel we do not want to let on the table. I'm interested to see if they continue that.
And it goes both ways too, right? You think that if they have a sniper that just goes completely off the handle, then that's difficult. But at the same time, if you go with a sniper composition and you haven't prepped yourself with the rest of your draft to ensure the safety of that sniper, or have it on someone that has that consistency and they just get shut down, that's 1/5 of your composition that just becomes completely irrelevant.
No doubt about it. I think this draft is going to be important, especially starting with these bans. Cassie was finally banned in the last set alongside Maeve, Makoa, and Ruckus. Makoa and Ruckus have been the standard bans basically this entire set. I think they have a 100% pick ban rate, and I think it's a 100% ban rate as well from both these champions. Will Fnatic continue that? Will there be something up their sleeve? They are in that 2nd pick position, so they are going to be able to leave a Cassie on the board if they don't ban it again.
And Ruckus, just whenever we see him come through, is very strong on a map like this, can really take advantage of the high ground. And I know in some matches against Fnatic, some have let the Makoa go through and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Theo's pretty comfortable on that one, but I don't think we're going to be seeing that for a bit of time.
I mean, Theo plays Makoa more than any other player in Paladins at this point. They've led it through quite a bit at Vegas, but this time Fnatic don't even want to deal with that as an option. It is a big threat if you do let it get on the board. Just the displacement, so hard to deal with. And Navi now with their 2nd ban. This is where things get interesting. If you see one sniper, you'll probably see another. And now Navi positioning to get at least one. They can guarantee themselves a sniper here because Fnatic did not ban out Strix's first round.
And Inara has been the consistent pick for Fnatic.
It has.
Feel very comfortable there. So deciding to take that away and leaning a bit more towards the frontliners and end up taking off Maeve. So there's a potential to see 2 snipers.
And you definitely can, and I think that's the way you go about it if you're Fnatic. You don't want to get caught out not having an option to get a sniper and giving it just to Navi, but then you give them the Cassie again, and this is just mind-boggling how it always ends up happening this way. Navi really good at banning and drafting so that they get a Cassie or a Shaolin every single time. This is what Envy did so well against Navi, so they've really changed their drafts for the better in order to put themselves in positions to succeed.
So Fnatic taking Terminus early. We saw Bugs yelling that before, and Bomb King, another comfort pick for the team. Fisheko having some stellar plays during that last game. But if snipers are picked up, no one wants to show their hand too early, so it would definitely be towards the latter half.
You do a good thing here because you're able to pick up your front line and you pick up your BK. And usually you would expect Fnatic to stick with that solo. You've got your blaster down. Navi really have to show a lot more in this pick because the Shaolin's still on the board. They can run that for the creatives. And, of course, Mutu having the Cassie. But they're going to go for the Fernando.
Okay. So we saw the playstyle that Phoenix brought with the Nando earlier, does lean towards not just the protective aspect, but can get aggressive at times. He's kind of that frontliner that you can do whatever you want with him, depending on exactly how you approach. And Saris. Hey, I see you, girl.
I think Saris here is taken very, very wisely by Navi. It may not work out for them, but they're holding their big cards for the last couple of picks. They want to see what Fnatic do here and then make their decision. Do we run a triple DPS and try to counter them, or do we basically go for a double tank? Which tank is better? Because they're going to probably select their secondary damage dealer, or at least their other tank and healer here. And you're going to get the Genos. Fnatic, again, positioning for triple DPS. So this gives Navi information as to, okay, how do we counter this, knowing that a Kinessa, very possibly, or a Strix, being picked 5th.
And Navi, I'm sure, anticipated this Shaolin lock-in after them not taking it early on. It was not a secure thing, but definitely something they probably prepared for.
Yeah.
And I like the picks that they have so far where it does leave that leeway of multiple compositions that can actually complement.
Because now really you have to say, how do we deal with the backline? Because we need something like a flanker to be able to get there. You could draft a Ruckus that can do a pseudo flank role. Fernando can also fulfill that if you need. Or do you go for something like, let's take a Khan, let's take a Fernando, let's take a Drogos, let's feel confident in our play. And they're going to take the Zen, which is a pretty decent flex there. Navi's lineup with the Khan now gets a little tankier. They have means to deal with the Terminus. But again, dealing with the Sniper, unless they're just trying to go back and forth with a Cassie in a Just Breathe style, which we did see earlier on Frog Isle.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Fnatic leaving this last spot open. They know exactly what Navi is bringing to the table. And the Xin pickup, definitely anticipating the possibility of having to go ahead and find yourself a sniper if they lock that in, or just anybody that's attempting to keep themselves in the backline covered.
Now, the thing is, Khan is actually probably quite good against snipers. Maybe not on this map, but in terms of the amount of damage immunity he can provide and the healing. Fnatic may be realizing that despite snipers being good, it may not give them that full kind of, we are just out-drafting you. And so therefore, with the Pip coming in, another opportunity for his Bittner to show his mastery of this champion.
And when you do have just the single frontline option, it helps to have that additional healing, because once your frontline is taken away, it can get pretty rough. But we're just down to best of 3 at this point, both teams with 2 wins under their belt. So let's hop to it.
It's funny to watch these drafts kind of evolve, and Phoenix kind of said it himself, is that they play each other so much that it may not look normal to the spectators on the outside looking in, but it's evolved specifically because these teams are trying to outplay each other a couple steps ahead.
Yeah, it's just, I'm thinking through this Saris pick, and you have to wonder why. I think at the end of the day, because the convergence, there's not a lot of really wombo combo set up with the roster they have. The only thing I can think of is she's really good at peeking out, hitting somebody, and then running away and still holding that charge for the heal. So you could be very elusive as Saris on this map, which might be the reasoning behind it, but it just seems strange not seeing Maldamba here with the double front.
Definitely agree. Saris, probably the least commonly seen support nowadays in terms of the ones that are viable. Obviously, you know, the Ying not poking her head out in a minute here. Theo's going to stick with Undying. Catalyst for Bittner, Luminary for Gera. Royal Subjects for Fisheko, Desert Shadow for Bugsy. Here's the loadout for Spunky on This Ceres we don't get to see too often. I think you're pretty right, especially when you look at the loadout. Very safe, right?
Very safe.
Look at that movement speed and shadow travel. He's going to disappear and be so far gone he could clear half the map during shadow travel. So it's just a hard pick to dive, a hard pick to kill.
Yeah, and is the mortal reach as well, so the extra distance covered. And look at this steal already low. My goodness, Creative's able to shred through him. Unbelievable, was low, but will get instantly healed right back up. And Gera also in a very awkward spot, but Fish Echo able to help out with a couple of sticky bombs to push everybody back away. It's an interesting kind of early battle here on the bleacher side of the map.
Nice reposition as well. Fnatic stunned out, but Royal Subject's so good at going around this con shield. So good for even going around the bigger Fernando shield. A lot of shields to get through for a young Fnatic. Fish Echo here as 36% has been captured. Poppy Bomb almost forces Unbelievable into the grinder, but he'll be able to stay alive for the time being.
And getting back again, straight up to full. They got to find a way, I think, at this point for Fnatic to get this area damage into Ceres. But that's hard because if you're looking at Fish Echo, he has to be responsible for taking down shields. So the Ceres is being elusive, keeping everybody full, and no one's dealing any damage. Finally, Bugsy's able to find 2 before trading away his life. But again, look how much pressure is being put up. Phoenix is so aggressive. Spunky can just sit on point. He's got some help from behind him. This is just a good look for Navi.
Phoenix has completely dominated the front line so far this game. Theo has not been able to do absolutely anything. He's been shredded dead before he hits the ground every time he gets hit with the Commander's Grab. And this Con's starting to pay some dividends here, and then, you know, Commander's Grab is going to go through the power siphon and be able to just grab the Terminus up.
And that's huge. At least canceled the cooldown of it for at least quite a little bit to get some confirmed damage. And look at this, Bugsy with 3 all of a sudden. He's found his way onto the high ground, looking really nice, and Fish Echo helps find the full team kill as he takes down 2. So finally, Fnatic catching a stride again. Nick, as you look at this part of the map, it's just so difficult to maneuver because everything is a choke point until you get around this U-turn. So this is going to be a really interesting side of what ultimates do you use for Navi in this kind of crunch time between a minute 30 and a minute to get this payload to move.
And I'm curious to see your thoughts as Fish Echo continues to dominate from the high ground here. Navi, they don't have anything to take any high ground with. It's going to literally have to be a spite onto the high ground if that's the way they want to do it. Mutu finds a thankful kill onto Fish Echo. Mutu with 2 now. Spike comes out from Creatives, but he will be punished by Bugsy. But now the tables have turned. It's Mutu on Fnatic's high ground to take control.
Really good dodge roll just to convert Bugsy immediately. Again, you want to find that space to get this payload to move.
Oh,
and
wow.
Again, wow, was that a disengage as well as a Commander's Grab right after? Or looked like it was just absolutely thrown across the map.
Let's see his loadout. Is he running extra disengage juice? Like maybe like a 1 or a 2-point card there on the Cassie. But I have to say, it feels like to me, if anyone's comp's going to fall off later in the game, it would be Navi, with the Ceres heal being so single target, easily cauterized, so much riding on the shielding of Khan and Fernando. If Fnatic can just hold on, I think they'll be in a better spot late game.
Yeah, you don't want to see this go 2-0 if you're rooting for Fnatic, because then you're down in itemization and, of course, on the scoreboard. But the big thing is get the Wrecker up, get the Cauterize up for everybody else. And this is going to be a crucial moment as if you're looking at Navi, is how do you break through? Fish Echo's got himself completely forded up here on this high ground. Finally gets pushed from the right side, but oh my goodness, Creatives falls immediately.
Bugsy hits a big arrow there to bail him out. Fish Echo still goes down because he can't reposition fast enough. Unbi misses the fireball, but Mutu will clean up Bugsy, and you don't want to see it go 2-0. But I don't think Fnatic have a choice to stop this down. Theo has been so irrelevant in this first round. Khan has done such a great job at shutting the Terminus down.
And even there, Bittner falling is absolutely huge. Unbelievable. Needs to push forward into Fish Echo's face just to try to keep him from putting damage on the point, which is what he's doing. Will they use anything to possibly put this 2-0? They don't even need to. Wow. No one was able to touch. I thought for sure Gera would get there, but not able to put a foot onto the point, and that's not good.
Not a great start for Fnatic, especially on Splitstone Quarry, a map that is statistically one of the hardest maps to convert on. And I mean, Navi make it look easy at this point. Bugsy had a couple of great moments through that first round, but hopefully they scored enough. I think they dragged that round out long enough to get, you know, the COT 2s, the Record 2s, that type of stuff online, that big item benchmark to not be completely blown out of the water. But still, it's not the way you want to see it go down.
No, we'll have to take a look to see if they were able to get those items online, because if they're not, well, that's a whole nother ball game for Navi. And yeah, you've got a couple instances of red, but Gera's only at Chronos 1, which does hurt the healing, at least marginally so. So if you're Navi, I think at this point you just need to rush the point and try to sit there.
Surprised that Theo doesn't itemize into resilience, but Fish Echo
Itemizes in blood as he takes down Unbelievable. The first kill to fall in this round. Creatives answers back quickly. Doesn't even need to use the Spite. It's at 100% now. Phoenix finds Bugsy as well. And Khan probably proving a little bit difficult for Fnatic to be playing around.
And this is going to be an interesting spot for Creatives as well. He's got the opportunity to flank behind and then get up on top. And you can see someone's actually still mounted in the back line. That was unbelievable. So now he's actually pushing off Bittner from the high ground as well as Garrett from getting line of sight for his heals. This could be really huge if they can find the kills, but not able to convert completely.
Just barely. Umbi gets the shield up as well. 60 or 57% on the objective for Natus Vincere. Long distance heal
does nothing.
Completely cauterized. Phoenix having his way with Terminus in this game around. Deal will be coming back here. Reanimate will run into the shield from Phoenix. And able to use Commander's Grab just to get himself out of dodge for the time being. But with comeback mechanic online, Navi don't have a lot of time to mess around.
No, they really don't. And at this point, if you're Navi, you need to try to find at least one kill to come back. But yeah, it doesn't look so good as Bugsy's able to find 2, Thiel a 3rd. And there's just going to be, I think, Saris in the Shadow Travel for a hot second. But it's not going to make much of a difference. So Fnatic will finally get themselves the apparently 1 point. But again, if you're Fnatic, you need to find a way, I think, early to get a stagger in some fashion. Even if you use an ultimate right now to try to find a kill, it would be big. Fish Echo with the trust to move forward. Again, shutting down this entire high ground is going to be really huge for the positioning of Fnatic, especially if you could stay in this area.
And again, itemizing into resilience is Thiel, meaning he didn't take it in his loadout, which a lot of frontliners will do nowadays. And this Commander's Grab is just ruining him on the front. He was 0-5 after the first round. And just being locked down and slain so freely is not what you're used to as a Terminus player. He's starting to buy into resilience now, but it's not 200 a tier anymore. It's a little bit more expensive. It's going to take some time to get that online.
Yeah, and even again, you see Saris getting staggered right there as well. It's just, Navi, you need to find a way. If you're going to let the payload move, let the payload move. Staggering like this is going to just amount in further payload push after the fact, which is what you're getting at the moment. You still have 2 players down, not even respawned yet, and they're battling over the high ground, but Thiel's able to stand here. The Commander's Grab again able to throw him, but there's just so much help for Fnatic due to the numbers.
The follow-up wasn't there. That's the difference. Mutu normally is pegging Thiel the entire duration of that stun. It just doesn't happen this time. There's the overpower. He's going to scoop up Bugsy, but Phoenix goes down before Bugsy's even has a chance to die.
Oh no, missed opportunities all over the place, and Fnatic is pushing this through very nicely. And again, the stagger is good. Double kill for Bugsy, looking for a 3rd. He actually puts himself right in the face of Spunky. The Shadow Travel does get used, but again, one after another, one after another. This is not what you want to see from Navi. You need to group up and actually get a solid 5-man defense going.
This could be Fnatic evening up with the scoreline here without spending anything. They have all ultimates available. The payload inches from conversion. Phoenix is going to throw Theo one last time, but the power siphon still heal. It's still good. 45 seconds to go. Bugsy with the first kill of the engagement on the Creatives.
And looking for more on the high ground, here comes Bomb King. Fish Echo right up top and getting some support from Bittner as well, who weightless is up on the high ground. Now it's just Phoenix again. Absolutely free. And that's going to be 2-2. And again, at no point in that defense did Navi really come forward as a full 5-man and say, this is the line, this is where we're going to set everything up. It just never seemed like they were ever in a position to actually meet Fnatic's push.
And it feels like this might be just that failure to change gears a little bit. When you have a team comp that relies a lot on the shielding, on lockdown, things that start to fall off with itemization, it maybe takes a little bit to click in your head. It's not the same team fight that we had in round number 1. We have to adjust a little bit. Our shields are falling faster. Thiel's not dying every single time we've grabbed him. He's in Resilience 3 now. He's going to be able to be Terminus again. He's going to actually get to play the game.
Yeah, and on top of that, Fish Echo's at Wrecker 3, so you're going to be getting those shields up for literally marginal a couple of seconds here and there before they fall. He's been doing a really good job of prioritizing to make sure those shields go down quickly. Unbelievable, pushing up. Oh, that was so fortunate he hit that Immortal, triggering the King Bomb right after. They use a lot, but they do get Unbelievable down. Khan in a little bit of trouble. Phoenix needs to find a way to retreat back, and it looks like he might be able to do so, but no, not so much. Bittner with the long-range shot, able to find it. Fnatic now in control again.
A beautiful Immortal from Unbi, but no healing for Phoenix.
No damage.
The shields are falling quickly. Mutu just doesn't have an angle. He's up on the rafters. He's not helping that fight at all from over there.
How many times have we had to say Mutu's name in kind of a really disdained way of, wait, where is he? It doesn't seem like he's in this game all the way really whatsoever. Finally, he's getting himself set up in the high ground, but again, you mentioned he can't burst through the power siphon. Theal's able to sit here and soak all that back up.
He's taking a risk now. He's moving. He realizes he has to get in this game. He takes down Theal, moves to the back line. Creatives will be able to disengage successfully as well. One arrow from Bugsy with Luminary would do it exactly. 1150 left in the tank for Mutu. He's got a great angle off Pacheco here, but he's missing so many shots.
Oh, it's not what you want to see, and Bugsy able to find creatives in the back line, so this will just be Spunky trying to give it a go to stall out some time, but it's not going to make much of a difference. As soon as that travel comes off, it's going to be all 5 players looking at him. That's exactly the case. A 3-2 scoreline for Fnatic, a 19 streak right now for Bittner.
He's moving so effortlessly through the map. He's really shown a lot of mastery and how to move around with his character, even getting some little rocket jump action going, shooting himself off of walls, double jumps, double kills for Bittner all over the board, double digits on his streak. The man is simply pulling too much weight.
And now looking unbelievable. Who's here? I mean, at this point, he's just staggering himself further and further past the point. Put down that shield and just get yourself killed if that's the case. If you're Navi, you need to wait for Fernando to come back up. It just feels like everyone's trying to be the individual hero. That's not the team comp to do it. You need to find a way to set things up and get this defense to come online for once.
And they don't really have a great suite of ultimates as well to engage with. The Scout, the Spite, pretty meh offensive options here. A lot of things defensive or counter-engage. Hasn't been a big convergence, but at this level of play, hitting massive convergences is just not realistic.
Yeah, especially when you have the good power siphons that are coming out from Theo literally all day long. Minute 27 seconds, the payload rounding its final corner as it looks towards home, and even Guerra's able to help get into the kill feed. He's on a 12 streak, able to find creatives to finish him off. Fish Echo's got unbelievable low in front, but has to disengage. Will do so nicely. Can he get any more help? How is he surviving? Okay, he's at 82 HP. Finally, Phoenix turns on him.
Bugsy and Guerra were long disengaged from that fight. I think they survived a lot longer and then they gave their teammates credit for. 66% on the Terminus ultimate, the only one not available for Fnatic currently. 57 seconds on the clock here. They're looking to put this game away and take the lead for the first time in this set.
It would be a big one too. Splitstone, as for EU players, seemed to be a very interesting battleground to use, and now Theo trying to come back through it again. Try to create some space up front, but does he have the support with him? He's trying to get healed up, and Bittner's still on the high ground. Fish Echo's still on the high ground, and look at that, Phoenix out of position. It looks like he again is unbelievable, was still kind of hanging out by this giant furnace. And oh, finally Mutu's able to come through with a big, that looked like a disengaged
He must have got
combo.
disengaged midair there. Beautiful stuff from Mutu. Hits critical shots from Natus. Look at the payload though. It's creeping. Every inch you give up here is valuable distance. Mutu just barely able to dodge roll out of that engagement as the last couple of kills come through. Too many, I think, to recover from Fnatic. Probably have to give this one up, chalk it up to a 3-3, and just win the fight.
And they've looked good so far on the point when it comes down to it. All of these battles that have happened underneath the bleachers on their perspective left side of the map has been very, very precise. I mean, to be completely honest, they're finding a frontliner almost every single time. And there was that disengaged shot from Mutu. A brilliant play by him. And then surviving, which is the big thing after that. Dodge rolling away from everybody else and keeping his health pool alive. I mean, that's huge. If he dies there, it might be a different outcome, but
I think he's going to be the make or break in this fight. I mean,
feels that way.
He was pretty much irrelevant in the first little skirmish. Then he comes and he pushes down into the lava room, but misses a good couple of shots onto Fish Echo, who was just unaware completely, who wasn't even looking at him. Fish Echo is blowing everyone out of the water. The next closest Natus Vincere member barely within 50,000 damage of him.
Yeah, and that's got to change when you look at just the power pick that Cassie has been for a lot of teams. It just has not really shown up on the effective health pools, at least not as of yet. For Navi specifically, look at this. Bugsy's actually going to withdraw in, looking for a kill on the low ground. Will actually trade away 1-for-1. Phoenix able to get some damage done, but this is the first time we've seen Navi push this right side and actually come away the victors. So now an opportunity for them to set up unbelievables moving forward, and even look at this, Phoenix is coming up as well.
And that's the folly of doing the same thing over and over and over again. Even though Navi just lost that fight, Fnatic, you know, they're coming at it with a different angle. Natus Vincere know how they want to approach that fight this time around to make it worthwhile. Reanimate is here. Theo is just going to bring it right back.
Vunu is up here perched and sniping down, and oh, look at this, has Fish Echo low, and Creatives will finally convert a couple of kills. This is big. Finally a blast shot comes through to find the rest of the health pool from Bugsy, and again, which didn't look like a good game for Navi, they end up making the most of it when it matters. A 4-3.
Whoa!
And even Mudu was in motion.
Whoa!
What year is it?
That's crazy. I've legitimately never seen it, and I think Navi are just about as happy as I am. Because I think that's what he needed. He needed to just breathe, just like he did there in that fight. He's poking away from range. Navi were able to move the fight force it onto the objective out in the open where Mutu could just pick Fnatic apart.
Man, it's just, that's, again, one of those moments. We saw it earlier in Game 2, saw it in Game 3 where Fnatic looked so strong, and then all of a sudden, Navi wins.
It's rough.
I have a hard time breaking that one down because it did not look like Navi's game at all until the last 30 seconds.
Until it was, and it's those adjustments, right? Their composition definitely started to fall off. There was no more CC from Khan. The shields were falling.
Yep.
Spunky was having trouble getting heals off, but it was just that small adjustment made by Natus Vincere over in that the bleachers, we'll call it. They fought under the bleachers. They were able to win that for the first time since the very first round when they lost all their CC. Fnatic went out about the same way, and how can you fault them, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Natus Vincere were the ones in the shop figuring it out, guys. That's going to do it. We are going potentially the distance here, but first we're going to send it back to Gabby and Evan.
So now it looks like Navi's taking the lead in the set, but I find that really interesting how it was the same approach at the start of each round, and you would think that they would have changed something because it usually at best was a 1-for-1 trade the first times, but this time it worked out.
I mean, you don't need to change anything if you have the eventual option to just win 1-point fight. And that's what I feel Navi felt confident in doing. They 2-0'd, then they had the chance to get 2-0 back, and then Fnatic took the lead, but it was a lead that was based on momentum. The second you know all this is momentum, you realize that when I quell it, I will have a chance again. That's what Navi do. They were really close to losing, but then they battle back, and it's like, hey, guys, let's just win one fight.
Early team wipe in the first part of that fight for that capture, and then Mutu getting a chill up there on the balcony, and as the caster said, moving the fight into the open.
And really, though, I think the big key that we have not talked about too much is the con. And I think the con coming in as that secondary thing, and we saw it in console, and it's rare that console shows us something that PC doesn't. So shout out to the console guys here. It was a great land, and one of the things we started to see was as you get your first tank, you feel good about his potential to either play the main role of aggressiveness or play the main role of on the point. But then you get that secondary option, and the Barrack, the Torvald haven't been impressive lately, but this con has really done a lot, and you saw it right there. That battle shout, I think, is the big difference maker for me. He CC and damage immunes himself and CC immunes his team, and at that last point fight, he just damage immunes it through time and space. That hits if he doesn't have that ability.
And I think it's also the fact that Phoenix has clearly decided how he wants to play the con.
Exactly.
Some things that we saw when SK brought out in Vegas, they weren't exactly sure the approach that they wanted to take with it. And I think all of the teams being a little iffy on exactly what type of frontline they would be, but Phoenix has a clear strategy.
And I think, when you can position into this con, knowing that Fnatic don't appreciate it, you also can catch them off guard. The other thing is that when you look at the strengths of Khan, he is very good at being a healing sponge. He heals himself for 800. That's getting buffed next patch as well, so it's going to be 1,000 at base. You can increase that with cards. People running plate mail, so more health. People running hope cards, so getting 18% at level 3 he's running in his loadout of extra healing, so you don't have to purchase as much rejuve. But then you also get the ability to cleanse CC when you battle shout, which means you get the full heal. Saris's full HP heal is going to you late game, and that's not something that any other tank besides Inara can allow you to do.
Focusing on that utility within the champion as opposed to forcing something that's not going to quite work, because his weapon isn't going to deal the damage in a 1v1 against some of these other units on the opposite end, right? So you need to focus on actually using the cleansing and things like that.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Being able to look at Envy and how they felt successful against Fnatic. Fnatic really thought that Demolition Bomb King was not a big deal for them, but Random Noob was talking to me. He said, guys, that's the reason we won. They would have to step away from the point. Phoenix didn't have to do that. Any Bomb King Grumpy Bomb, he just stands there and presses Q. That type of option is what gave Navi a lot of flexibility to win these fights.
And now we're going off to Bright Marsh for our 6th map of the set. Could potentially go to 7. I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either. This could go to 14. I don't know. These guys somehow, Spunky gets up. Wait, this is going to 14. What's going on? We're still playing.
If it was like in tennis or something where you have to win by 2.
Oh my God, we'd be here all night.
Yeah, they would never end. But actually going with a Terminus ban and then switching the order of some of the others.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think you just open things up for yourself when you do that. Fnatic love the Inara first pick. Navi not too concerned. I think they haven't played with any of these front lines except the Terminus. So they have a lot of different options. The main bans, the Fernando's a lot safer, and they're only going to get the Cassie as well.
And then when you have something like Nando, if you decide to go single front line or more than that, then you have that flexibility, especially with Phoenix and Unbe both able to actually pilot that one. But Cassie making it through once more.
Its Bittner looked so good on Pip still. It just wasn't able to get the job done. 21 streaks at times.
Sheesh.
And so he's been fantastic, but it hasn't been enough. And you got to be worried when something like that goes 22 in a row. If you have these moments and you still don't get the win, it's like LeBron James scoring 45 points, you know, a triple-double, and they still lose by 15. You're like, man, something's wrong with the team.
And I think also mentality-wise, if you're Bittner, let's say, and you look and you lost the game, and then you think, well, I had 21 streaks at some point. I don't know what what I'm supposed to do.
I don't know what y'all doing, but I'm all right.
It can kind of affect you. Where am I supposed to make these adjustments then?
And I mean, Fnatic, I mean, truly, I don't know where they're supposed to make the adjustments. Bugsy had great moments. I feel like not. Again, it comes down to a 3-3. And this is why, for these teams, this is the best thing that could happen heading into the rest of the week. No matter what happens this game or next, they both feel like they are just like anybody could have won this set. It was just basically the way the ball bounced that day.
Yeah, and a lot of the ultimates, the way they've been clashing, there have been moments where it's legitimately half a second that decides whether it's the Evil Mojo and the Immortal.
Right.
And the way that you pit those against each other, especially when you're in that last point capability, sometimes it is just that little trigger.
And that, although Fernando got his Immortal increase to 0.1 seconds of a delay, that's still 0.1 seconds that you have to be right on the money, expecting and knowing that that Evil Mojo is coming. That was an incredible play. That's why I'm surprised to see anybody but Unbelievable pilot the Fernando, because he's OG, man.
And even though he ended up going down after that, it was delayed enough and he got a lot of value.
Bought a lot of time, yeah.
Yep, that for the rest of the team where they were able to position on the objective and then force the rest of the fight out into the open. So props to him for that, just being able to respond at the flick of a hair. And now when you're going into Bright Marsh with a bit more encapsulated with the capture, and Maldamba and Zin being the last lock-ins for Fnatic.
This is definitely a Khan map if you're going to grab it. Torvald could work here too, but I think Khan has been working for Navi. The area of this fight takes place in a very circular spot. It's almost like, hey, here's the area that Khan's Battle Shout works in. That's where everyone's standing. But they're going to go for the Barrack instead.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I would think that they were going to go for the Khan, not the Torvald, because they haven't really been playing with that today, and if it's working with something that you're already warmed up on, but actually bringing the Barrack, maybe to try and isolate the actual capture even more.
You get a lot of dismount potential with the turrets. You have a lot of just a lot of things that are hard to siege into. Barrack is a very, like, stand on the point, get there, and with these turrets, with this room, it's going to be even harder with the Barrack and 2 turrets and blunderbuss and all the stuff that he brings to the table. Beard, I know Nick's excited to cast this.
Well, let's get it started. Potential for Navi to close it out or Fnatic to tie it up. Let's go.
R.I.P. Navi. They picked Barrack, they lost. I don't think
that's what matters. Is that
Maeve,
one pick?
Maeve with the 100% win rate so far. Barrack with 0% win rate so far. Now I know the sample size is small.
Very small.
It's a mere 1 game in this set, but I stand by my my prior inclinations.
As you should.
As you should, my good sir.
Yes, your integrity must stand up. It's an interesting map. I think that the as you take a look, the Androxus is...
We're running out of maps.
Oh, well, yeah, we are.
What do we got left? Ascension Peak, Fish Market, Ice Mines.
Oof. We don't have Ascension Peak anymore. We've got Fish Market, we've got Ice Mines.
Are they banned Ascension Peak?
We played Ascension earlier.
Oh my god, it's been that long.
Yeah. Here we
Wowie.
Wowie wooey.
And here we go. Creatives, he's going to be running Impulse Cassie, which I don't even think has been the most popular talent today. I feel like Just Breathe on
not in this
Zone.
game, not in this set it hasn't been.
It's been crazy. Navi not afraid, Creative specifically not afraid to go to Just Breathe, but he's back on Impulse. Makes sense for this map. Looking for the first blood here, poking away, not finding much. Mutu, one of the most patient players in the business.
Especially when it comes to playing flanks in particular. A lot of people want to get in that backline immediately. Not so much here. Creative's in a lot of trouble. Luckily has the somersault in his build to get him out underneath that looked to be 30% HP, but this is not good. Bugsy just needs to get out of this billow and turn around in Creatives. He's got a couple of people low in front of him, actually, if he could get his health pulled back in his spot. Doesn't even need to. Fish Echo's got the front line handled. Why not? So now Bugsy in the back is just going to keep everyone zoned away. 72% already for Fnatic.
While he didn't kill anyone, Bugsy effectively disabled 3 people in that fight. They were just diving him getting him just as low as he got them, but Bugsy makes it out alive. Might win this 1v1 with Phoenix, gets barely into the billow, gets the big heal from Gera. I don't even know where the hell Gera is right now. He sneaks it through the window, what a beast.
Goodness gracious, and this is the big key when you have a Xin with that much space to gain. That just means that Fish Echo's got all of that room behind his frontliners to do whatever he pleases with the poke, and then now he can get aggressive to try to find somebody else. And looking for the mid-air shots against Mutu, that's not traditionally a fight that he wins, and he won't this time.
No, and I don't think he ever will. Mutu not rocking the base Androxus. He has switched up his cosmetic here, which is, that's final form Mutu if I've ever seen it. Normally runs just the base stuff here. Just like Perdo, but it's weird not to have those NIP boys here at this event.
Talk about a name that we traditionally see time and time again near the top. Fish Echo looking to get aggressive, but Spunky will punish. He had another friend nearby. Creatives with the disengaged shot. Won't be able to juggle completely, but will find the follow-up blast shot. The big question is, can they find this Shaolin to the right? Not going to make a difference. He'll take a splash.
So much passion from Natus and Vincere this set. I don't, like we commented last time, coming out of game, Mutu just popping off, getting you know, audibly excited. Obviously they're in soundproof booth, so we couldn't hear it, but we could see it on his face. His team almost looked a little taken aback that it was him that was popping off for once. Typically such a reserved team, but even early on, I think after game 1, Creatives getting very vocal about his team's performance and very excited. And that's good for Navi. They looked so deflated in Vegas. This is a whole new Navi.
Yeah, and this is what they need to get themselves on par through time and space. Comes out, doesn't find a whole heck of a lot, although Fish Echo will fall after the fact. Feel also able to trade away unbelievable. And now still Fnatic setting themselves up pretty nicely for this push somehow.
That fell apart quickly.
Yeah, very quickly. And again, I've been trying to keep my eye on how Barrick has been positioning himself here this map. He's got to put himself either in very tight corners or wide out in the open. That time through, it was tight corners, but it was just Bugsy pushing right past the barricade and saying, I'm not even going to bother with your turrets. I'm just going to get myself into the back line and take care of your supports. And it worked.
Bugsy Xin has been exquisite this set because he hasn't gotten a lot of attention from his support. He's been largely on his own, and I don't think I've ever seen a Xin succeed that heavily by himself. The true lone wolf style. Cursed Arm comes out just to deter Fnatic, but Bugsy's right back in the face of Mutu for the kill.
And now Fish Echo's got a lot of low HP targets in front of him. He wants to thrust forward. Will do so, and it's the 2 damage dealers who actually side by side are the pallbearers for the payload, and they will find themselves a nice 2-0 to start things off. And you talk about, we heard it a lot in the interviews, is the space given. We heard it specifically from Bodies when he was playing Androxus. It's the space given. Bugsy's actually the one creating the space.
Who's making it for him? That's what I'm saying.
It's insane. He's the one who's actually just saying, screw it, I'm just going to go and penetrate through, let everyone turn around, and now Fish Echo just thrusts forward, and he ends up providing the support needed.
And it's like, it's never that traditional Xin, right? Even on Stone Keep when he was like 15-4, yes, he had a Luminary Genos, but he was running Guillotine. And we don't see a lot of Guillotine Zins with the Luminary combo be hyper successful. But Bugsy 3-1 quietly, I think, being an MVP for me just because he's been able to do so much on his own. And I said earlier, I think the most flexible player in Paladins. Who's in your running for that title?
Dose Ups would be near the top for me.
Yeah, have to agree. I will say they're pretty similar, though I like Bugsy's DPS better, and I like Joe's frontline better.
Sure, absolutely. Bittner's going to start things off in this fight, and now again, 1 kill goes down, and look what happens. Fish Echo able to thrust forward. He nearly gets taken down by Mutu, but he's actually on the retreat as Bittner's following up with barrage of his own, and again, Fnatic is just holding W, and even more so now with the Heat Haze.
Oh my god, Al, these are some good shots, setting up easy kills for Fish Echo. Fish Echo's had the easiest game of his life so far. He hasn't had to do any heavy lifting. Here comes the Dragon Punch, the Dread Serpent as well. It's all just trying to dissuade Fish Echo from pulling out double kills, but he does so with ease.
Not going to make any difference whatsoever. Mutu now in trouble. He's got nowhere to go. Thanks for showing up. Have that one back. A little parting gift to take back to base. Now Bugsy even before he gets Void Grip, able to find Creatives at the 3-0 for Fnatic. And again, you look at this roster from Navi, you say, what is going wrong? And who are you hearing from? It's, again, for me, the Cassie has had very little impact.
Yeah. It's been good at moments, at times. Barrick as well, struggling to find some footing here. But like the desk was saying, after such a great game on it, they move Phoenix to it and put Unbi on the Barrick here. But sure, Fnatic, they're having one of those games, they're playing so fast. It doesn't feel like Navi have the comms or the composition to try and get their feet under them.
It feels just like Ascension Peak all over again. Just no time to set up. Even you can see as soon as the turret gets put down, Fnatic throws one shot at it and it goes away. A Cursed Arm comes out again, but there's just no targets. Now Mutu finally getting in the back line, able to find Fnatic. Can he find the support of Gira? It's a close battle.
Uh-oh.
No, Bugsy actually finds the snipe midair.
He almost just sent Garrett in the Shadow Realm. I know Cuss Cutie started to sweat once he saw those dashes starting to come through. The Spectator client struggling to keep up with one of the most mechanically insane players ever to pick up the mouse and the keyboard. Mutu unable to get it done, though, in that fight. Fnatic will be held at bay for the time being, but time is of the essence because they still have 1 minute and 10 to work with. Navi have just weathered the front end of what is a very, very vicious storm.
Yeah, Heat Haze comes out, Seismic Crash to follow behind, but Immortal able to cancel things out, so the defense will hold on for a quick second, but Fnatic's got a salvo primed and ready, and it finds a lot of the health pool of Cassie. Now the Dragon Punch, can he go up and over and find anybody? Woo! Oh, Mutu tried to throw out a left hook, but it's going to be the big punch of Drogoz coming through first.
But he tried to get the big play, and it just wasn't happening. Fnatic with a swift 4-0. As Game 6 comes to a quick close, we are going the distance here on the European side of the bracket. And you have to say, they've been trading out blow for blow, but going into Game 7, coming off a vicious win like that one has to feel good for Fnatic.
Oh, absolutely. That's just a match made in heaven with a bow on top of the gifts in front of you. I mean, that is what we saw from Ascension Peak. It was just this aggressive play style. It looks like Fnatic's staple mindset of, let's just go in. Let's take all of our DPS. Let's get the big pressure forward. And again, Bugsy, like you mentioned, the penetration that he had for free,
yeah,
you can't let that happen.
Let's go in the distance, guys. Game 7, Desk, take us through.
I want to say we're super awesome for predicting it going to Game 7, but I feel like we're not the only ones, so.
Oh, yeah. I've been Game 7. I've been stoking the Game 7 fire since the start of this desk, and I think these two teams are in a position where this is the way it had to go. They both have to feel good whether they win or lose now. They both have to say we're looking good towards the end of this week. I think they both had great moments against one another, and that's a big key too. Not that they've been like sneaking through. They've both been dominant against each other. Really, again, just showcasing how much the draft is a big key for why these two teams get separated, even, if at all.
And just as the same with some of those past games, Fnatic on the Drogoz just able to really hold it down for his team and have these stellar moments.
That's a dirty dragon right there. That boy does not miss very often.
Kind of looks dirty with that skin too.
Yeah,
looks like
exactly.
He's been over in the swamp part of Bright Marsh.
And I mean, this is against Mutu's Andraxis, which just looked like, it looked like child's play for this man. It was absolutely not a problem. He comes over here, just knows exactly where he's going, finishes him off with a fire spit. The salvos were on point. This Dragon Punch was phenomenal. This is against Mutu, by the way. And Mutu hit with hit scan. Can't even clean him up. 2 shots, and that's how good Fnatic was feeling. I think this is starting to get a little worrisome for me for Navi because of the fact that they just really, with that Barrack pick at the end, did something that didn't really make sense to me, and I don't know if we've still figured it out.
Well, then I think because of that, at the same time, if they catch that, then they do have the potential to just come through and do really well in Game 7, because it was already questionable for Unbelievable to be taken off of the Nando and then put on the Barrack.
Yeah. So
if they come with the mindset of maybe we should go back to some of the things that worked in the games we did win, then it could be just as powerful.
I mean, I think you are right. There are a lot of opportunities for that Barrack to have been successful. The issue is, I think maybe they were looking around the Genos. They might have said tinkering with the 15% damage amp, we can get a lot more value out of the Barrack. Also, why they switch Unbelievable off of Fernando, I'll never know. I don't get it. He has a great game the game before, and they win, and then you put Phoenix, who played Khan before, and you say, no, you play Fernando now, and let's get a whole new front line in there. Especially when Drogoz, the champion who dominated that game, would have been countered by Khan's Battle Shout.
And that's exactly where I think all of us and the casters were just looking at that and thinking, you try hard to put yourself in the minds of the players and thinking about what the motivation behind the draft is.
You do.
It's a whole different experience over there in the soundproof booth, but At the same time, then, here from the desk perspective, I kind of want to see if they keep going in that direction they did in Game 6 or revert back to Game 4.
No, I think they'll realize that the Barrack didn't work there. And it's not that, sometimes you have to take a risk to see if it does work. It could have paid off big time and been a good threat against the Drogos. If they're hitting a lot of those tinkering shots with Luminary, they're 1-2, he does the job of a damage dealer as a tank, and he already gets Drogos out of the fight. So I like the idea. Just didn't work out. I'm not sure if they'll go to it again in this champion draft. This is all the marbles. It is a best of one to decide who goes and has a chance to play for the finals here of PPL Season 2 and who basically is set with a 3rd or 4th place finish.
And on Fish Market, nonetheless, a place we don't
get
to. We don't get to visit this place very often. It's kind of the bottom of the barrel, as you typically do find in a Game 7. So,
like shooting fish in a barrel as well.
Oh, yeah. There's plenty of fish at Fish Market.
And then you sell them at the market.
Though we actually haven't seen any fish being sold at Fish Market.
Well, we've seen a lot of Fish Echo, so maybe that's a good sign.
He's just taken the place of all the actual fish in Fish Market, but...
Can Fish Echo lose on this map? I don't know if it's possible.
He just channels.
Yeah.
He's like,
all the fish. Give me your energy. Now.
That's why Fnatic... I mean, it was Navi's map pick, but still.
You ever heard of that ancient tale about the fish who turned into the dragon? No, I'm
that
kidding. That's not real. That didn't happen.
Was that Fish Echo? Is that the
No, it didn't happen. That's
secret?
not a real tale.
But,
I made that up.
Speaking of tails, I don't know if we're going to see a Drogos rocking his tail in this game, potentially.
We can see the tale of the Stigala unfolding here, another story that's been prominent in Paladins
The hubby
esports.
and wifey.
And I think Fnatic, again, Navi taking the Inara, that's out of Fnatic's comfort zone, and that's what happens in these first pick situations because you get a Makoa, you get a Ruckus ban, you get a Maeve, you get a Cassie ban, where they've settled into what they want. Navi the one's actually banning out the Cassie, not wanting to give it up and not seeing the game-changing nature, knowing that it's really leaning towards being around the Shaolin for creatives and also being around Fisheko and the Drogos.
A lot of pressure on your frontliners on this map because the capture itself seems pretty vulnerable. Shaolin and Genos are actually the first locked in for Fnatic.
Bit risky here. The reason being is that you lose your secondary frontline option 2. They could take a Fernando here, and Navi might just do it and put Fnatic in a position where, it is a Terminus, but it doesn't have the same type of flexibility as running a Fernando is, and that forces maybe a Mega Potion Pip or something like a Pip alongside this Genos, which is, again, sometimes something that works really well and sometimes something that just doesn't show up.
And it is kind of going back to that aspect of there being these standout plays for multiple players on the side of Fnatic, which gives you options as far as who's comfortable on what. But then Buck and Khan are going to be the next lock-ins.
And I mean, Khan raises value on this map. Why? Because his ultimate is much more accessible to use because of all the area of the hazard zone to throw people in. However, you have to say that this is a stark change from being able to last pick a Khan and not taking him and choosing a Barrack to now really saying Khan is not only our 5th pick, he's our 3rd pick. I doubt Fnatic would have gone solo tank Khan.
And I guess leaving some of that flexibility for the rest of their draft, because I don't think Fnatic, if they really didn't have a lot of respect for Khan, then I don't imagine they put much work into actually working on compositions with Khan.
No.
So the likelihood of them picking in any capacity is slim, but Knessa and Barrack.
And this really throws Navi off because Navi are thinking, all right, well, Fnatic will solo tank. It's going to be a Terminus because that's really the only viable solo tank standing out there. But then they go with the Barrack. And now Navi are saying, are they going to run another tank? Or are they going to go for the Pip like we thought? If so, it's just Barrack versus Inara and Khan.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough matchup for them.
And the way Fish Market works is I feel like there's so many look down on the point aspects for the damage dealers. So if you're just a Barrack and you're standing against an Inara on the opposite end with Khan, then you can get burned down so much quicker.
Now here's the thing, around the corners is where safety lies on Fish Market. You can use that Khan shout to get around those corners, get out of line of sight, but if it's going to be Bugsy on this Knessa, it's going to be a dangerous threat at any point, at any time. And it is the Pip. This is what we expected. I just did not expect the solo tank Barrack.
Yeah, if you're going to... I guess because the fact that Terminus on a map like this that can be kind of wide and you are trying to get in close proximity to him. But nonetheless, this is game number 7 of our EU matchup between Fnatic and Navi. All comes down to 1. Let's find out who takes it.
It's the world champions here, trying to regain their former glory versus Fnatic, undefeated in the PPL. Neither of these teams having the showing they wanted to at the Esports Superstars Las Vegas event, but now they've got it all on the line. One game decides their fate.
This is a very interesting Game 7. Not only because
Game
we're on
7 on
Fish
Fish
Market, but it's a solo
Kanga
barrack.
Esports is out somewhere in the studio sweating, dude.
Yeah.
Feeling the pain,
Yeah,
the
just
heat.
the throwback to that old time. My goodness, that was... If you don't know what we're talking about, go back to last year. Not this past, but the year before World Championships. Kanga on this map.
And DreamHack Valencia.
And DreamHack Valencia. Wow, both maps.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot
Kanga
about that.
Game 7 on Fish Market is
It's
thin.
never... It's
It's where their
Brings
dreams
the
go to
sweats.
die. It's where their
Brings the
land
sweats.
go to die every single time, man.
Sheesh.
It's rough. Here it is, guys. The final talents for the final game of the EU semifinal here. PPL Spring Finals. Overburn. Players reveal lasting a little bit longer and a little bit bigger for Mutu. All he wants is vision. All he wants is information for his team. And Theo running the solo front line barrack. If there's any man that I trust to do it, it would be him.
Yeah, if I had to, but again, I would never want to.
I don't typically like to.
Yeah,
have to.
exactly. You can see the flank getting set up for Fnatic, though, moving on the dock side of things. But over on the market, you have Creatives already kind of working away the back line. This could be dangerous if he does bounce in. It just kind of comes down to who can find the first shot. Both teams have kind of done a little bit of a tilt-the-whirl here as they've switched sides.
Bugsy's waiting in the wings on Kinessa as well. This character has the ability to just change the course of a fight in an instant. It's all on Bugsy. To left click some heads today. Fisheko, Fnatic in general, gonna gas pedal him down for first blood. It's gonna be close. It'll go to Fisheko and Fnatic.
That's huge because now you can see Bittner's moving forward. He will plant up to try to take down some shields, and Khan is also being targeted by Bugsy. So Fnatic trying to move on forward. Again, they have to wait for that patience so Theo can feel safe enough to go out in the open. He will eventually do so and take down Unbelievable in the process. And this is not where you want to be pinned up if you're Navi, is stuck in this market side where all these overhangs are going to limit Creative's mobility.
Creatives hasn't been able to move
At all.
He forces out the battle shot as well. Bugsy, like we said, the landscape of this battle could change in an instant. Creatives peaks at the wrong time, eats one between the eyes. He's going all the way home. 90% on the objective for Fnatic.
This is where Theo really will strive, is being able to go from turret to turret. But they're both still set up. No one's taking care of these deployables. That's actually huge because you can see the health pool of Unbelievable is getting shoot across, and now Bugsy finishes off the last quarter of it.
And I think you gotta love the solo frontline barrack when it comes down to the dome shield. When it comes down to crunch time, he does have one of the best ultimates in the game. Commander's grab will miss. Phoenix will fall. Fnatic will expire this first overtime and take the first objective. Creatives jumps in late, uncharacteristic little mistake from him, and he was basically irrelevant that whole fight. He never found an angle to work with.
And that's the tough part. If you're forced, if you're Navi, to play on that market side with all those overhangs, you don't have line of sight for Strix. You have no ability to move for Buck, and at that point, Khan and Inara are looking at the rest of the team saying, I need some damage on point if I want to be able to survive.
I mean, I feel like it's a bit of a domino effect, right? Where it's got to be Mutu probably getting started one of these kills for Creatives having an opportunity to jump in, right? But it was Fisheko putting too much pressure on Mutu, so he couldn't make space for Creatives. It's a team working together as a unit, and right now, Fnatic were just able to do their jobs better.
Absolutely are, and continuing to do so as this payload will move across that danger boardwalk area and closer to what looked to be some kind of apartment buildings that are on the side. Not 100% sure what would be inhabiting that area, but
It's
a
the
minute
Wall
30
Street
left.
of Fish Market.
Yeah, there you go.
I want to live
Wonderful.
right on the strip. Right in the action. Get me in, coach. Another big kill comes through for Fnatic. Creatives, he's going to flip the shotgun, start firing twice as fast. Bittner's already found 2 frags. Bugsy's going to gun down Unbelievable in the back line. Almost takes down Creatives for his troubles. But a lot of damage reduction to work with there, Creatives. He'll be just fine.
Cheeky little jump peek from Strix. Almost got the job done, but not quite. Now still a minute left, and again, the payload. This last slope is by far one of the hardest pushes in Paladins at the moment. So yeah, it's a good reference.
It's breaking, breaking the beach here, and it's really the only natural choke built into Fish Market. So yes, it's hard, but it's the only one you got to get through. Now look at this, Khan and Buck moving into the backline. Creatives has already found one. Bugsy, I think he's unaware of this happening right above him. He's got headhunter available. He'll take Creatives out of the sky. Can he bail out Fisheko? No, he will not.
34 seconds left, and at this point, you have to wonder, As Fnatic, you lost your through time and space. You don't have heat haze above 50. You do just use this time to farm up the ults for the rest of your players. Of course, you'll likely see Navi get all 5 of theirs at the same point, but I feel like if you're Fnatic with the solo Theo frontline on Barrack, you need some kind of resource out of these damage dealers' ultimates. So the poke would be good. It'll try to get some space open for the damage dealing side of things. The Phoenix does fall.
It's a great way to start. Bugsy, if he's able to get a big headshot onto somebody, take it back. He's aiming for it too. He can tell he is noticeably aiming for the head of creatives there. He knows that's the only way he's going to be able to get that kill. 1 back-to-back, but damage reduction after recovery is going to save the life of Buck for the time being. And they'll get their ultimates a little bit more charged up. Not fully charged, which was obviously the dream, but critical shots. You see the 2400 there from Bugsy. The more of those, the better, because it's just a gift. It's just free kills for Fnatic onto basically anyone from Navi that's not a tank.
Or even sometimes if it's a tank, the 2400 damage to the head of Inara did not probably feel very good. And man, this is going to be interesting, I think, when we look at how both these teams open up. We saw them that last game, one team going towards the boardwalk, one going for the market. They almost had a complete flip, pulling a 180 on who spawned where, but man, 11 streak for Bugsy. You have to look at this situation. It's a 7 for Mudu. These snipers, I feel like they have not had one chance to really have a true sniper battle between the two of them.
Yeah, no, and that's because of Fisheko, right? He's done a good job keeping a lid on Mudu because we know what happens when he's allowed to run freely. Bugsy a little bit pressured out, overpowered. He's probably going off the map, but they take down Phoenix before he has the opportunity to launch him.
Wow, that's huge, but Dome Shield on the point. Seismic Crash trying to come up unbelievable. He'll be able to trade out 1 before he falls, but Bugsy staying alive does trade away the sniper battle and another, and Theo the entire time was able to dance around in his Dome Shield and then hide behind boxes, so it's Fnatic again staying alive on point. That fight a little bit more aggressive for both teams, but the big key, as you mentioned, the overpower does get canceled out. Keeps Bugsy alive, and he turns the tides.
When the walking ultimate can't get his ult off in the right way, that's not a good look, especially when you've got Adrian going off the way he is on Kinessa, one of his favorite champions of all time. 96% for Fnatic, and they just have to go slow and steady here, and they'll be just fine.
Yeah, but they do lose Theo, so this is going to be an interesting situation.
Jump on a point? Oh,
yeah, no one else really has the health pool to stand there for too much longer. Ooh, Evil Mojo, did the charge get
That's
used?
Maybe a blessing. No, it didn't.
Okay, that's good. Mudu, hello.
So Fisheko dies, and then what happens?
It's interesting to see, isn't it?
Chain reaction here, a little domino effect. The zone has to be good from Navi. The zone was good from Fnatic as well, but they were still able to make their way back. No Dome Shield, just the Evil Mojo. That's why I say it's a blessing in disguise, I think, that Bittner didn't get that off. Or Fisheko didn't get it off, excuse me, because now he's got the opportunity.
But it does
but
miss.
He whiffed.
Yeah, it misses, hits the impasse wall, and Theo will fall while trying to commit to the point, so Fnatic in dire straits to try to get this point back. Garrett's going to go on top, but again, you can take a look. Unbelievable, staying alive just long enough. Fisheko's going to give it a go as well, and looking for a kill. If they can find Spunky, they could potentially do this, but Khan also back. Doesn't look likely, and it won't happen, so it'll be 2-1 for Navi as they put the payload in.
They just had the front line to deal with it. And unfortunate there that Evil Mojo was unable to connect onto Unbelievable. Did it run into the wall, or did it hit? Was she CC immune when she hit? They were both up, right? She was CC immune and the wall was up. Doesn't matter. Spilt milk. Didn't go Bittner's way. Didn't go Fisheko's way. Didn't go Fnatic's way. Bugsy at 10-2. Definitely having the type of performance he needs to be having. But, you know, it's got to come from somewhere else on the battlefield. He can only do so much.
Bittner able to find creatives, though, and again, the Buck pick is, man, this is such a tough composition to be running Buck into. And he has not really found the amount of success that I think Navi had initially planned for with the early pick. Still not moving through. Phoenix does have the overpower. Will he decide to use it to get this payload?
It's good damage.
Yeah, it's really good damage, in fact. Now he will just
Later. Just dunk the poor boy. Why don't you? Into the drink he goes. Bittner caught in a bad spot. Haven't been in love with what I've seen from Bittner so far this game on the shop. I'm being completely honest with you. 122 left. Move 2 misses a close one there. Bugsy just able to reposition out of harm's way.
And this positioning is going to be interesting for Mudu. Simply because, again, that right side is a cheeky peek, but it does not have a very long line of sight. Meanwhile, up top, he could find a longer line of sight towards spawn, but you fall into the risk of running into Bugsy's scope. Unbelievable, trying to make some space up front. We'll drop the warders. Creatives does find Fisheko on the right-hand side, and now everyone's turned and looking at him, and Unbelievable's got an opportunity to move forward. Theo is completely caught out while everyone's in retreat. Bugsy will fall away. Theo will fall away. It's a full team wipe. and that's a lot of open pasture for Navi to explore.
Navi have quickly done what Fnatic failed to do in the first round, which is break that hill. They're over the hump. They've got plenty of ultimates to work with as well. They've got a good zone. They've got the mobility, I think, to take this risk. They're going to roll it straight on through to a 3-1 lead without any contest from Fnatic.
This is the biggest struggle of having the solo Barrack, especially when you see Phoenix is able to pull him out and then just immediately push him down. This is big, though. It's how he pushes him down. He doesn't shoot him up. He shoots him down. So if the rocket boots comes out, he's not able to find anything besides the wall in front to try to get him back onto the map. So really smart use there, just another higher level play with making sure that ultimate connects for a kill. But that's the trouble. When Thiel's gone, there's nobody else that could even come close to contesting the point or contesting the payload. So if you're Navi, you need to continue to keep a target on Thiel's head. And he's already died 7 times, so that's already going well.
It's rough, man. 0-5, 1-7 for the frontline support combo for Fnatic. Just breaking even for Bittner and Fsheko. Those little boys need to step up at this moment. Bugsy's pulling plenty of weight, 10-2, 10-3 or something like that. He is. He can only do so much. It has to come from somewhere else on the field.
Big dome shield, though, just to keep Thiel alive for a small amount of time. He's trying to soak up some health, but Unbelievable's there. Bugsy able to help out with the kill, though. That's absolutely huge. So now Fnatic with an opportunity. If he can find one more potential shot onto Lulu, he falls off the map.
Did he mean?
I don't know.
I don't think he meant to fall off there. That could be potentially the biggest blunder, one that defines this set. Fnatic, they have the comeback mechanic. So with that victory, I tend to lean towards he was just going for the reset there. With comeback mechanic on Fish Market, with a win that solid already, I don't see them having a hope for bringing that one back, and I don't see Mutu accidentally falling off of a map. I just don't.
I can't imagine a world where that happens either, but you said a big win. When it came down to it, it was just the fact that Thiel got focused. He's down once more, so now a potential for Fnatic. I mean, where do you go from here? If at this point, I guess, okay, maybe Bugsy will just set
Between
that
the
up for
eyes.
us. That sounds good. Yeah, why not?
It's a good spot there. Spunky makes himself slightly available. Fadeaway planted from Bittner will connect for a decent amount of damage. Creatives goes in, but gets nothing and is escorted quickly out of the Fnatic backline in a coffin. 6 feet under, 147 left for the boys in orange and black. Thiel under a lot of pressure already again. He's caught between a rock and a big metal boy, and he falls down.
One way of saying a hard place.
One thick boy.
One thick metal boy. Creative's in a little bit of trouble here as well, as Fsheko is now waitlist up, and he'll find that kill. So Fnatic with the potential of pushing this for a while. Bugsy's actually going to reposition more aggressively, trying to find one more potential stagger, and the barrage continues from Fsheko, who's now moving on the left-handed side, which has a small sort of elevation built into it. But Bugsy, you can see he's just head peeking, waiting for people to come out of spawn. He will dismount and force the recovery out of the buck.
He's getting aggressed on now. Hit scan pressure. He's going to go up and over the wall there. Long distance planted there. Won't find much damage, but look at little fishy flank, and he just makes it barely available for Bugsy. Another headshot onto Unbelievable as well. This veteran of Fnatic looking to drive this payload home just to even the score.
That's a huge kill, though, from Phoenix. Able to find the last health pool of Bugsy before the reposition. The teleport can come away. And now a withdraw for Bittner, trying to keep himself back. Phoenix will kind of toggle the shield back and forth, but 35 seconds, and man, I just don't know. With Thiel going down there, having to force himself off the map, I don't think they're going to get a chance to touch this one. It was so close, though.
Just a little bit of, somehow he's flying under the radar here. Khan, one of the biggest player models in the game, sneaks up on Bugsy there and just not able to get the transporter off in time. Will they be able to start the overtime? Thiel has been allowed to ride right back up to the objective. Plenty of ultimates to work with, but the question is always for Fnatic, how much will you gamble?
It's such a tough call at this point.
We're not in Vegas anymore, so I don't know if you want to gamble too much here.
Unbelievable does fall, though. Just a Void Grip and planted combo will do the trick for that. Now Buck in the background, but it will be an overpowered, and off goes Bittner. Not able to find one last shot, but still a lot of low health pools in front of him. Bugsy's got a potential to get this one through. Can they find Spunky? Now it's just Fsheko and Creatives one-on-one on the point.
But he's just too tanky. Creatives. He won't go down. He's going to lay the spray on the ground. But Fnatic did a good job of not spending anything there. So they're going into this round with every ultimate available. And they're going to need plenty more of these from Bugsy if they want to win this Game 7 here. See, that looked so deliberate.
But at the same point, nobody else is jumping off, which is the weird thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I get
you
that.
have to trust
I
Mudu
get that.
was doing it on purpose.
I get that. And I agree that no one else looked like they wanted to, but maybe one person called like reset, and he was just like, all right, and kind of went for it. But then they were like, oh, hold on. We might be able to just kind of hold up here for a second.
Like lemmings.
Navi, Fnatic, Game 7. It's all coming down to the wire here. 3-2 lead for the reigning world champions. Healing charts definitely in favor of them. They've got the Rejuve 3 and R with a Maldamba juicing her up. So he'll be 60k out in front. Looking for a headshot, won't find it. Body shot will do for now.
Yeah, the dismount was important enough. And now Seismic Crash again right in the field. But the headhunter comes out, but Dread Serpent in the back line. And now we have Buck Wild also coming through. Can Bittner find a way to keep his support alive? Really good impale will do the trick.
He's just so tanky. And he's got Phoenix healing him. He's an off tank, but he's out here healing. Big bonus damage shot. Big planted from Bittner and Garo. They turn it around for 2 in the back line.
Can they find more? Bittner will drop. Oh, not quite.
Jordy, you got to hit those.
You got to hit those.
You got to hit those in Game 7, Jordy.
Still finds the space. That's what's key. He gets Steel on point. He can start setting up that barrack shop full of turrets and barricades and whatever else.
Did he miss the flash?
No, I think it may have hit Fish Echo, but he still finds an Evil Mojo. Not able to find Phoenix, though. Stays alive. Bittner trying to find
Big
a moment.
moment.
Whoa, huge kills there on the Mudu and Creatives. Back to Unbelievable, who's 1 HP. There's the triple. Planning up, not going to find the quad, but still, it's Steel on point.
Baby boy Bittner finds 3 there down the stretch. 89% for Fnatic. The shield's going to go up, but he's completely out of juice. Void gripped up. It's teed up and drove home by Bugsy. Overtime started. Will likely finish in favor of Fnatic. More contests will come out from Navi. They're going to give it a try, but it's starting to fall apart at the seams a little bit. They have the point to give. They're keeping themselves in it.
Yeah, Unbelievable still alive. Spunky is still alive. Feels falling low. This is not over by any stretch of the imagination for Navi, but Bittner, he needs to find this kill, and he does. Now turning around for the front line. Can he help find out Khan? He's low. The shield will be expended, and that will be enough for Fnatic to go through. But again, a big play there for Bittner to hit the heat haze and make sure he found the support first and then helped get the damage under the front line. Really smart play from
It charges
Fnatic.
so fast. Keep yourself in the game. I like the
Exactly.
call. Bugsy is online. Bittner has been clutch now. Fisheko is the only one making small little mistakes here and there with the pip. If he tightens this up, I think Fnatic have a great chance.
Well, Phoenix, Fish Echo put in a very interesting spot by the combination of Phoenix and Unbelievable, but we'll be able to get the weightless off the cooldown and jump right over that icy impasse wall. Thiel's going to do some jumping of his own right into Thiel, who's happy to turn around. Welcome, first time here.
Easy, easy, boy. Why do you need to be weightlessing in at 800 HP? That's my question. There are questionable things from Fisheko. He's seeing red at the moment, and he's being punished for it by Natus Vincere.
I feel like it may be one of those things that they've been playing this aggressive pip style that he feels like it's necessary to continue to do that, and sometimes not in the best positions to do so. You have Bugsy who can finish off HP targets at this point in time. You don't necessarily need to weightless in to get the kills when you have someone who can secure it from a long range. Regardless, we still have 1:25 seconds. He still has an Evil Mojo charge. Fnatic almost to full 5 ultimates. In the meantime, though, overpowered what was used on the side of Navi, so they're going to be sitting with the 3 out of the 5 for the potential last push if it does get pushed through.
It's a big cooldown there. Damage numbers starting to creep up into the 6-figure mark as 3 members of Fnatic have already passed the 100k threshold. Big damage, bigger Evil Mojo from Fisheko. He steps up, he finds 2. Fnatic, their foot on the throat of Natus Vincere. Can they take down the World Championships? They'll find 3 for nothing.
And Mudu going to be put into the Void Grip. It's going to be an easy takedown. There will be one more chance to push this defense, but they have to get there and stay on their mounts if at all possible. Phoenix will start to move in. He's going to get there just in time. Dome Shield coming out, though, for Fnatic.
It's the perfect ultimate. The Dread Serpent finds Fisheko, but he's unable to have any follow-up into him. Killing spree started. The wall goes up. These frontliners are still very healthy for Navi, but they need help from their backline. They're falling left, right, and center. Fisheko finding big moments. He hits Mutu in stealth. He connects. He's not going to clutch up here. Unbelievable, the last hope for Natus Vincere.
But he's so survival. Bittner will go down, which is huge. Thiel is still trying to contest as much as possible. He's using his rocket boots to move in and out of these turrets, but Unbelievable is absolutely positioned nicely.
Respawn proximity advantage starting to play in for Natus Vincere, but Fisheko is free firing. Take down Spunky, cut the sustain off at the source. Another polymorph ready to go. He rips it, and Fnatic, they drive it home. Game 7. They will be victorious and continue their undefeated march through the PPL.
Wow. What a set that was. What a way to finish things out. You could see everyone on the side of Fnatic with deep breaths and smiles, and meanwhile Navi, well, a little bit of different
smiling
sense.
as well, because they fought damn hard. They performed extremely well. It came down to the wire there. It was kind of exactly, Bugsy started to dial it in.
Yeah.
Thiel and Jero were there the whole time. Bittner was really clutch in the final round. And Fasheko, once he cleaned up his act a little bit, that really, really got out of control for Fnatic.
And, I think that was, you said it best, is a little bit out of control. Was almost every single map in one sense or another for both of these teams. We saw the 4-0s happen for each side, and there were certain elements of
twice.
Fnatic. Yeah, it just seems one of those things that's like, can they find a way to tighten those screws? Because honestly, G2 looked like they were completely where they need to be to win a championship today. And Fnatic and Navi, of course, incredible teams. It just, there were so many small moments that did not look quite tuned in yet.
And I will say, I like the way that Fnatic is playing around Pip confidently now. I think that's what North America had over the heads of Europe, but perhaps no longer. It was an incredible set. 7 games. Fnatic will just barely edge it out on top. That's going to do it for us here. We're going to throw it back over to the desk to get this show moving.
Oh, comes down to the
game.
last point.
I know.
For the entire set, but I think there was a lot of back and forth throughout the entire thing. Fnatic right there in the end, so coordinated in their efforts.
I mean, Fnatic looked, really a great team when they were on. And when they were on, you just could tell there was something special about it. And who did they need to show up today? None other than is Bittner, who has these, oh, baby, it's Bittner kind of plays towards the end of that game. And Fasheko, who has the only long-standing life in that last round. For at least 40 seconds, he's behind all of them. 3 kills. Mutus takes Spunky down. He fires off onto, I think, Phoenix a couple of times. It was just unstoppable.
Yep, right on to the point. Oh, there's Mutu over there. Let me take care of that problem. Back over to the point. And then you also have to give a shout out to Bugsy, who was on a pick that we've seen him just thrive on in the past. But having this Kinessa under their belt really had some tide turners.
There is in no vacuum should this go the way of Fnatic, I think. But that's the thing. These players making special plays is what championship days are all about. Bugsy turns the tide again and again and again. And I kept saying, how many times is he going to get a headshot onto Inara? How many times is he going to be the one to basically make this fight even for Thiel, who is outgunned, outshielded, outsustained by every single person who steps on that point outside of him? And you know what? Bugsy just steps up to the point every single time without fail.
We were very much in doubt of bringing the Barrack as your solo frontliner to this composition in the last game on Fish Market, but the fact that Bugsy was able to basically protect as much as possible, kill anyone who did approach, was huge.
And when you get set up, that's great. And what Bugsy did was he gave him the length. He gave him the length that Barrack couldn't create himself, the time. He would go to the right side, he'd cover the full corridor on the right, and he would cover the angle on the left. Dismount Inara. No one got to the back line to pressure him. You got the buck, but that buck was for naught because he just never was fighting Bugsy in his own backline, and that was the issue.
And between Fnatic and Navi, we've seen them fight time and time again throughout the regular season, and it's been quite the battle each time. Going to Game 7 now, and Fnatic is going to have to move on to another best of 7 against G2.
Well, many people in Paladins have thought that going to 2 best of 7s or playing multiple sets in a row actually gives you a benefit at LAN. You stay warm, and you're able to just be in your same seat. You continue the rhythm that's been built up by your team and the momentum. However, I think that this situation a little different because the drafts are really going to be the key differentiator here for North America. Do Fnatic stay as confident as they were against EU teams doing their triple DPS as they were against North America? Envy, they started tilting. They started being a shade of themselves, trying double tanks, going back to single tanks, trying double tanks again. So if they have more consistency in the style they want to play in this set, I expect a good result from the finals.
But I think demonstrating how well they can execute with the pip was very important because for so long it's EU has a grasp of the meta in the way that NA doesn't. And then the whole story right now is NA is actually picking some things up before EU this time. And in this actual in-between moment, I'm sure the EU teams have taken all the opportunities to try and refine and match.
And, the pip has always been something that EU have done really well from a Catalyst perspective. NA has done really well from a Mega Potion perspective. EU has kind of really pioneered this Genos and then the triple DPS meta with Fnatic at the head of that. And I think Fasheko really owning the fact that I'm not going to play Drogos here if you ban it out or if it's not viable. I'm not going to play Bomb King if you ban it out or it's not viable in this situation. I'm going to play the Pip. And there are countless times where not only the fact that Pip's healing could impact one of his damage dealers or his front lines, but also just the DPS, the evil mojo. Those things seal the deal.
The fact that both Fisheko and Bittner can pull that out with no issue.
Yeah.
Because of the fact, since they, other than the Pip, there's a lot of differentials in their champion pool. So when you're able to just kind of put that on whoever you need to so that the other one can thrive on one of those niche picks, then it really opens you up.
Going into G2 and that set, I'm actually, it's not that I'm nervous. I'm very excited. There's a lot of anxiety, I think, between both teams because no one really knows what's going to happen. Both teams may be at their prime here. I'm so interested to see how Fnatic feel moving on into this next one.
Well, congratulations to Fnatic for making it into the finals of our PPL finals. Let's go ahead and hear from the boys themselves reflecting on that match.
Welcome, guys. Congratulations. Best of 7. That was a long one, but you're only about halfway done. We'll get to that matchup to come, but talk us through the feelings, Skara. How do you feel after that Game 7 3-hour slugfest with Natus Vincere?
I mean, it feels good always to win it, especially in the last map, but it was damn close. It was close.
So I actually want to go back to the beginning of the set where you guys trade a 4-0 and a 4-1. What's the mindset like and what's the comms like after you get through those first 2 games to reset yourself for a very intense best of 5?
If you go to 1-1, it's basically a best of 5, so you just full reset and just like you skip these 2 maps out and then you just go on from there. You basically just play a best of 5.
Yeah, pretty much. You take the lessons from the last game, but then you ignore the mistakes you made and you just go for the next game. And best of 7 becomes a best of 5, becomes a best of 3, becomes a best of 1.
Talk to me a little bit about Game 7, and you two specifically had a rough start there. I think, Gary, you were 0-4. Theo, you were like 0-7 or something like that. And how do you play against 2 front lines like Khan and Inara as just a solo Barrack and a Genos trying to heal him through all of that?
You can go first.
I mean, I always have my dots on Barrack, so Barrack has some self-sustain, some healing from me, but mostly why we have the Genos is the 15% damage boost for the carries, because we wanted to go triple DPS, and that's what we did.
Yeah, as a Barrack, my job was never really to kill the Inara. That's never going to happen. So we needed a point that can best be on the point. A tank that was best on the point, as sticky as can be. So while I didn't have much healing, I did have failsafe, which resets my cooldown on my rocket boots with a bowling ball. So I was just dancing around like twice, and then as soon as I had to get out, I just fell back a little bit. And that just bought us enough time for our Kinessa, for our other carriers to get the damage in we needed.
Speaking of dancing, you did a lot of that in that final push. It's 3-3. Payload has the first 2 wheels on the winning point. Who makes the call to start using ultimates to finish the game there?
I think it's basically all of us. Like we already said when we kept the point at 3-3, I said like, okay, we're using ult, we're pushing this in no matter what.
And you did. But that's not it. You guys are halfway done. That's just one set you'll have to win today. You'll be up against G2. How are you guys feeling? How's the confidence? Is that the team that you would have preferred to be against, or would you rather seen Envious sitting across from you?
I would like to have a rematch against Envy because they beat us in Vegas. But that's me personally. But I always love to play the G2 boys. Like we go back all the way to DreamHack Sweden. So it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, I feel like Envious didn't perform as well as they did in Vegas, which is unfortunate, and G2 obviously did perform better than Vegas. So in the end, we do end up playing a better team at this LAN, but just for feeling's sake, I would rather play Envious just to rematch them, but G2 is fine too.
G2's fine too, I'm sure. Anyone would do as long as it's the finals, I'm sure. So last set of the day, but then beyond that, you have another full tournament to go through, obviously focused on the immediate future. Anything that you guys feel is your weak spot, or anything in particular you feel is strongest against this G2 squad coming into the final match?
I mean, we have our things against G2, but we always had, and we still have that. But yeah, we're not gonna say that right here live.
Yeah, that's classified.
That's classified information. I will say one thing that seems to be markedly improved from you guys is the pip play. And I will say the North American pips at Vegas were definitely stealing the show. But this time around, whether it's Fishy or whether it's Bittner, you guys have 2 guys with 2 different styles, both very aggressive. And I think that's going to be a key for you guys going forward. Do you agree that the pip play is going to be something to take away from G2?
Pip is always an interesting pick, no matter against what team it is. If it's G2 or Navi.
Maybe.
Maybe. A hard maybe from Young Teal.
Not giving away anything. Not giving away anything. So going in, I just have to ask, if you were to give a prediction of how you think you're going to do against G2, obviously you think you're going to win, I assume, but how many maps do you think it's going to go?
I hope it's not going to 7. I hope it's going to be 4.
Yeah, I'm hungry, so 4-0 would be nice.
Hungry, so 4-0. All right, well, you got plenty to feast on ahead against G2. Thank you guys. Congratulations. Good luck in the next one.
Thanks. Later.